play a game.
I want to play a game. I told you, I want to play a game.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Want to play?
Oh, yes. There will be blood.
What is up, folks? Welcome to spooky season. Here we are. It is the panel. We're back. It's me. It's Mike, the dynamic duo. But we've brought our friends. And guys, folks, please bear with me if I kind of drop out a little bit. Having some severe internet issues, but we're gonna have a good time. So you know Mike, you know myself, but we've got a couple of guests here, special guests, if you will. We've got Dravi down there on, I believe, is the bottom left if you're looking at the screen. Dravi has been here before, but this actually might be the first time on my channel. And we've got another new arrival here, Crossover MMA, who is actually kind of fairly new to the YouTube space. So you're gonna get familiar with everybody. We're going to have a good time going through this entire fight card, UFC 307. And before we jump to that, I'm going to shut off the chat, and then I'm going to let these guys kind of talk about what they think and all that fun stuff. We've had MMA picks here, or MMA clips here from like way earlier today because he's always ready. And he's excited that Dravi's here. Let's go. What's up? Look at that. Look at that. Jose, my friend, you are just so thankful. I'm so thankful you're here. You're just such a good person. But yeah, so guys, chat's already hopping. We already got some folks in there. I'm not super excited for this card from a betting standpoint because this makes me nervous. There's a lot of old folks, and I picked too many of them. And yeah, that sucks. And I do this thing with my like picks with confidence ratings that I post for the Patreon folks. And yeah, it's not looking good. There's a lot of low confidence. Classical Andrew just rolled up. You know what, dude? You didn't miss anything. We're just starting, except for the sick intro. You can actually go back and watch that if you want real quick. It's in honor of spooky season. Mike, how you feeling about this card, dude?
Yeah, I mean, I share a similar sentiment to you. It's a decent card. There's some fun fights. A lot of older people. I actually did the math, and I posted it on my Twitter. The average age on this card is 35. I don't know average ages for other cards, but that seems pretty high to me. There's only 2 people younger than 30 on this card, which is just crazy. So yeah, it's really tough. A lot of these spots, I'm just kind of like, yeah, he probably wins or she probably wins, but the line is kind of bananas. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I got some dog shots loaded up, 3 already, and one really big money prop plus 11,000. Excited to talk about that one. And yeah, and looking forward to talking the fights. Love talking fights with Dravi. Nice to meet Crossover. Hyped to see what he's about. And yeah, let's do it.
Heck yeah. And with that, Crossover, what about you, man? What do you think about this card?
You asked me, bro? Sorry.
Crossover, go ahead. Sorry, I'm cutting out again.
Oh, sorry. I couldn't make out what you're saying. I would say for me, this card, first off, with it being in Salt Lake, like I'm already expecting like some wild stuff to happen. Some people are gonna gas out. And I'm just really expecting the unexpected in this card. Whenever there's elevation and it adds another element, I guess because my background, like I played sports and I've been in elevation and I know how real it is. So, I mean, with these fights, like after the first round, I feel like the dynamic of all of the fights is going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the elevation changed things quite a bit the last time they were in Salt Lake City. It actually kind of favors a lot of overs. So that's an interesting, and you can tell that by the lines. Dravi, what do you think about this one, dude?
Yeah, also, I think this is like one of the first card in a long time that I think every fight is favored to go over. You know, that's kind of crazy. All the totals are chalk. So I think, yeah, it's going to, I think at first look, I thought the card was awful, but when you look at it, you look at some spots, you know, there's some tricky spots, but I think there's some good betting spots, to be honest, especially you talk about the round props, the elevation stuffs, and yeah, I think that's a good card to attack some of those. So we're going to talk about it, but yeah, not like the biggest pay-per-view of all time, but I think there's going to be some fun fight on this one.
Yeah, we're definitely getting some fun. And everybody in the chat seems to think it's going to be a bit of a dog-heavy card. Herb Dean, gold standard. You know, we got whatever that name is. You know, 84. We're going to call him 84. 84 also. And Nate Brown kind of mentioned that the UFC records of some of the fighters, especially on the prelims, is actually pretty rough. And I noticed that as well. Like the 5 on in from like, I don't know, a handful of fighters is like negative. It's like 2-3 or 1-4 and stuff. It's not what you want to see. It's not what you want to see. But we can go ahead and kick this off. Let's go ahead and start the ball rolling with the first fight of the night, which is loading right now. I can't remember what it was. Oh, it's Tim Means versus Court McGee. There you go. A perfect example of fighters with a -5 on in. Mike, why don't you start this one off?
Oh, thanks for giving me the fight with the two guys who are 40 years old. Look, I love losing money on Court McGee. It's one of my favorite pastimes. I decided not to lose money on Court McGee. Well, kind of. I'm kind of going to lose money on him, but I didn't play his money line. I would have if I got to the plus 195. Unfortunately, I didn't because I needed to tape. And then by the time I got to it, it was plus 160. And I'm looking at it, and Court just needs to strike more. I need him to throw more. I need him to do more on the feet. He's kind of just not. He's a serviceable striker, but that's about it. And Tim Means, I think, is a better striker. I think Tim Means hits harder. I think Tim Means is the one who's live for a knockout here. I think he's going to have more output. I like how he digs to the body. And he's got some decent wrestling in his own right, but I think that Court is a better wrestler. I trust Court's cardio more at elevation. So those things kind of make me feel like Court, while he's not a better striker and while he's not going to get a knockout here, I do think he can land the takedowns. I do think that his cardio will hold up better. And if he actually shoots more this fight, because he hasn't really been shooting as much as I would have liked, I think that he can win this one. Instead of laying the money line at plus 160, which is a line I'm not crazy about, I took the decision prop at plus 335, played it small just to win one unit, and that's the way I'm going here.
I don't blame you. It's one of those fights, just a couple of old dudes going out there and going to try to entertain the crowd, get things. Yeah. And I believe McGee is the only fighter from Utah that's fighting on this card, if I'm not mistaken. So. Yes.
So I really don't think he's going to struggle with elevation. And as it is, he's got a great gas tank. So that's kind of why I was down to play that decision prop. But I wanted to keep my stakes small, and that's why I went with it. And yeah.
Crossover, what do you think, dude?
So in this fight for me, I think I've really favored Tim Means in this fight, just like how the odds do. For me, Court McGee, his activity is low volume. Doesn't really have a lot of power in his hands. And Tim Means is a dog. Like, even though he's old, like, he comes to fight. He's fighting out of Albuquerque, which is even higher elevation than Salt Lake. And I've even been to Albuquerque, and it is unreal, the altitude. So for me, I mean, even in Means' last few fights, he's been in them. Like, clearly he's the old guy that's been in his fights, but I feel like he's got more left than Court McGee for me, and that's how I'm looking at this fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely kind of been the consensus too, is that he does have a little bit more left in the tank. So, Dravi, how do you feel? We're split on the pick so far.
Yeah, I like Means here also, but I think Couch is kind of spot on the fight. I do think that if it go the distance, the way to play Court McGee is by decision. I think you got plus 3xx on it. I think it's a pretty good bet. I like that better than the money line personally. I give him, like, if they go the distance, it's going to be like a close to a 928 decision. You want to be on the dog for sure. But like you said, man, I give Tim Means like some KO upside, especially early, because I do think that McGee chin is kind of gone, if I'm being honest. And he's getting cracked in almost every fight early. Even Alex, I run back the Alex Morono fight 2 days ago, and I mean, he almost got put down with the first shot. I was very surprised. I didn't remember that top of my head, but he didn't get dropped, right? But he got almost put down with the first shot Morono landed on in the first 30 seconds of the fight. But yeah, then you're looking, got knocked out by Matt Brown in the first round, by, Wells. Not terrible look. Obviously, both guys are power puncher, but he's been finished 3 times, right? 3 of them were KO1. And Tim Means, at the end of the day, he's older too. But like you guys said, I think he has more left in the tank. I think he's still competing with this guy, even if he's losing some of these fights. Good elbows in the clinch, good knees in the clinch. He goes to the body. And at the end of the day, the guys have 20 KOs, and 13 of them are in the first round. I know most of the KO1 are like pre-UFC, but even in some fight where he gets like KO late, he hurt the guys early. And Court is weird because his chin get touched early and then he get put down. But as the fight goes on, it looked like he were damaged better. So I think if they go past 5 minutes, you probably want to be on McGee. But I play this fight a little bit differently. I play Means KO and Means KO1 I think that's just like two ways to play this fight. You either go McGee decision, which like Mike did, or you go with the KO props on Mean. Which I don't agree with the price on it, to be honest. People are gonna say maybe, oh, Morono, he had a good, like he finished Means. Yeah, but Means won the first round. He hurt Morono, and then second round he was looking good. I bet Morono in that fight, and I was not happy about it. And Morono and McGee was super competitive, but yeah, so I don't mind the angle of Mike on this one, but I think Mean's gonna find a KO early personally.
Yeah, so listening to all you guys give your spots, I kind of made me wonder, and I don't know why I didn't look at this before, but what is the decision only prop for McGee? Like, it's got to be.
I can tell you, it's it's plus 130. I don't think it's good.
I might play that. I mean, because like if it goes to decision, McGee's winning.
Yeah, but then you can just play McGee by decision for 0.35 units to win one, rather than laying a full unit at the plus 130. And then there's a chance that Tim Means can win a decision just off of damage, and he will throw more. He's going to land the bigger shots. He's got decent takedown defense in his own right. I don't think him winning a decision is like crazy.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Yeah. Okay, you talked me off the ledge.
There's like a big difference in price too. I think what you got, Mike, plus 350, plus
335.
Yeah, and it's between that and plus 130. I think it's a big difference. And I think Means win the first round in the high flip, So if he wins the first, he could easily win one of the other rounds. So yeah, I just think that if you want to bet McGee, I would bet him by decision, like Mike did, because I don't give him much finishing upside.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Even though Means likes to get subbed, I don't think he's going to get subbed here because I don't remember. I think it was Safdie who looked it up, and it was like 2011 was the last time Court McGee got a submission. I just don't think that's going to hit. So
I looked into it.
I'm sure you did. Who did? I mean, like I let the others do my work on that one. I thought about it and I was like, I don't know, it's probably not worth it.
I would have
oh my bad.
You was that?
He's got a 31% finish rate.
Yeah, not what you want when you're at elevation and it goes late. So that's a good. It's a good little stat to have. I'm with Nate Brown on this one though. To like, we got to have a whole gallon of root beer just sitting here watching some fights. We're not going to be betting on any of these, and my bets are looking rough this week. So who knows? I mean, we're coming off of a great contender series, so I'm not mad about it. 5-0 clean sweep. I was feeling pretty good. But yeah, for my pick, I'm picking Tim Means. You guys probably already watched the full card breakdown if you're here on the channel. So all of you in the chat, if you haven't watched the full card breakdown, you can do it after this for a more detailed analysis. But I'm picking Tim Means. It's kind of like the consensus, like Crossover says. I think he's just got a little bit more left in the tank, stuff like that. So it's not that I think Means is like a way better fighter. I don't know. McGee, somebody said it in the chat. Where did it go? Yeah, right here. Nate Brown said it. There we go. Look at that. Highlighting the heck out of this guy. He said Nate Brown said that he thinks Court retires because he's at home. So yeah, it makes sense. So, and shout out to Nate Brown for being a channel member. So if you guys aren't channel members, be like Nate Brown. He's a fantastic human. But yeah, the point is I'm also on the Means side, but no bet. Just gonna watch this one. Let those old guys do their thing. We can move on to the next fight. We spent way too much time here. And this one is one that I was looking forward to, but they've rebooked it. It's OSP versus Ryan Spann. And if it wasn't the rebooked fight, I would feel so much better about it. But Crossover, let's take your opinion first. Let's hear what you got on this one, and we'll go from there.
So this fight for me is very tough. And just because for me, I feel like OSP is a very hard fighter to figure out. Because before his last fight, to me, I thought OSP was pretty much done, was about to get out of the sport. And then his last fight, he's looked the best he's looked in years. And I was like, who's this guy? Like, where has he been? I guess it's something. Like, I mean, his footwork was looking good. He was countering very well. And I was like, what? Who is this guy? But ultimately, I think being 41 years old, it's tough. Then fighting a guy like Ryan Spann is so explosive, so much power. I know the fight IQ for Ryan Spann can be a bit questionable at times, but I think at some point, Spann is gonna catch OSP at some point. And that's for me how I'm seeing this fight going. I think Span's gonna win by KO.
Yeah, it makes sense. If Span wins, that's probably his best path. But Dravi, what about you, brother? What do you think?
Yeah, I did post OSP as my free bet for this week, plus 225. It's kind of sketchy to bet him at this state of his career. So yeah, I do understand that there's some, I'm not super proud of this one, but I think there's a clear path for him. Like Ryan Spann at minus 250 or minus 300, and against anybody, I fade Ryan Spann with Ghost Cub at plus money, and he was like, I don't know, plus 130 maybe, something like that. And now they're giving me like a way better price for OSP. And the thing for me is, like you guys said, I mean, he had his best performance in years last time out. He landed like 143 significant strike. He hurt Kennedy in round 3. What Kennedy is known for? To push guys late, to finish guys late. And he was the one getting hurt in round 3. And OSP was the one putting in on him. So I was very surprised with that. And Ryan Spann and Kennedy's our training partner, right? But I think that Kennedy is a tougher fight for OSP than Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann is more dangerous early. He needs to be careful because of that. But after 5 minutes, I'm not saying like OSP is a cardio monster, but I trust him more after 5 minutes personally. I think he's going to land more volume. I think he has more art. Ryan Spann, he's a good hammer, but terrible nail. And he has a bad chin. And you don't want to lay that type of, the guy minus 250. You don't want a bad guy with bad cardio, doesn't have heart that, and I know my guy Mike's on the sub for OSP, and I can see it. I can see it also. I'm not sure how he wins. I think it could be a decision. I think it could be a KO. I think it could be a sub, So I see a guy at plus 2xx. I gave him multiple paths to victories. I trust him more as the fight goes on, even though he's much older. And he just showed me the last fight that he still has some gas in the tank. And now this fight at elevation, Ryan Spann, I really don't trust the guy after 5 minutes. And yeah, so I think the OSP is going to be the one doing more. I think he could potentially submit him. I think he has like the most sub at 205 or something. He needs to be careful because I could see a Spann guillotine also. You just need to be careful because of that. But I don't think it's likely, for being honest. So I think more than likely, if Spann wins, it's like a KO1. But yeah, I think OSP could finish him late and by sub KO. But I kind of think that he's going to go the distance, which is kind of a crazy take because it's like plus 350 or plus 400 to go the distance. It dropped a little bit. It's plus 300. So I don't mind that either. But yeah, it's just sketchy to bet that at elevation with these two guys, But I'm going to pick OSP to win this. Not sure how he does, but I think, Mike, you have a better read on the meta than me.
So there is one fighter in the UFC that you do not by any means want to attempt a guillotine on, and that's OSP. Because what is this man famous for? Well, there was a choke that was at one point called the Von Flue choke. It has become the Von Prue choke because OSP has got that on way more people than that should be allowed. I mean, that choke is hard to hit because you have to count on your opponent not only getting a guillotine, but holding that guillotine as you're no longer in their guard. And this man has done well. Once you like lock him down with your shoulder, it's one of my favorite moves too, because I'll willingly let people grab a guillotine on me. I'll go for it all day. But the point is, I think that's how OSP is going to win. I think he's going to choke him out with the Von Prue choke after Ryan Spann goes for one of his guillotines and homie just tries to rip on the head, and that's it. And plus, and don't get me wrong, like Ryan Spann should win this fight by all intents and purposes, but I just don't think he will because he should win a lot of fights and he just doesn't. The dude just wants to lose fights. Like he goes out there and try. I don't know how he loses some of these fights, but he does. There's a lot of problems with Ryan Spann. He's doesn't have great cardio. His fight IQ can be questionable, and he's a bit of a head case. Like he kind of like you see it in the pre-fight interviews that he's just. It's whatever he's all about his feelings, and that's a problem. So I was more confident in OSP when the original fight took place. I had bet him straight up. This time I don't think I'm going to bet him straight up, but I did play the plus 3.5 on him right now because I think it could go to decision, and I can definitely see Ryan Spann winning the first round. but I could definitely see OSP stealing a round in there. And whether he wins or loses, because maybe he steals 2 rounds, but at the same time, I think OSP is going to win by Von Pruchoke as my official pick. But yeah, we're just going to play it safe on it because the number's still pretty gosh darn good. Couch, what about you, brother?
Yeah, I mean, so you mentioned like Span should win, and like, why?
I mean, he's like way younger and more athletic.
Yeah, but that won't always win you fights.
He's a freak of nature, whereas OSP is like 41 and
yeah. You should have won against Guskov too,
Exactly, but I picked Guskov there too.
I just feel like looking at it, I just feel like Span doesn't have the skill set. He can knock out OSP 100%. He can put him away early. Span hits like a train. OSP's 41 years old. He's been hurt. We know that. And yeah, of course, Span can put him out. But if the fight's extended like in any way, even like, can you see Span putting together 15 minutes of striking, like competent striking? No, I can't. Can he grapple for 15 minutes at elevation without dying? No. So then, like, what is he? If he's pretty much round 1 or bust, in my opinion. Here, I would like to play OSP's money line. I didn't get to it fast enough. Now it's plus 200. I feel pretty gross touching that, just because at the end of the day, OSP is 41. He is very slow, but I think he's a better striker. If he's still on those good steroids that he did for the Nchukwu fight, I mean, he looked phenomenal. The cardio looked great. The power was there. The output was fantastic. I don't know if he's ever landed that many significant strikes in a fight. And he looked real clean. And if he fights like that, I think he should cook Span. But for now, all I got is a sub prop. I played plus 1,200 for 2.25 units to win a decent chunk of change. I honestly think that's what's going to happen. I think something's going to happen. They're going to end up on the ground, and I think OSP is going to sub him. How we get there, I don't really care. I just think that Span, once he gets tired, maybe he'll do like some sloppy takedowns, end up on his back. Maybe he'll go for that guillotine like you guys mentioned, and the Von Prue will be there. So yeah, right now I'm just rocking with that 0.25 units. I don't want to stake anything crazy on a guy who's 41 years old, and I'm pretty much banking on him still taking steroids, because if not, I mean, even before then, right? Like, how about the Jamal Hill fight? He looked pretty good in that fight. He was competitive. He was winning minutes on the feet against Jamal Hill before he got finished. That was relatively impressive. Like, he still got it kind of, but the steroids definitely helped. And I hope he's still on them. And yeah, it's OSP for me.
Yeah, it's funny because Span's a big favorite, but somehow 3 of us are picking against him. And that's what could go wrong. I mean, honestly, if I get this one wrong, I'm not going to be surprised because, like, I mean, OSP he was on a horrible, losing streak. You just kind of assumed he was going to lose every fight. And then he goes out there and he beats Nchukwu. And it's like, what in the world? Like, McPooperton's onto something here, though, too. OSP by 7, 2 or 3 is plus 1,800.
The sub's plus 1,200. Why mess around?
That's true. You got a good point. Because he couldn't get it in 1.
You got still V on it, bro. You smoked it. It's like plus 800 to plus 900 now.
I got COV.
Big CLV, bro. You're in trouble.
That's not a good sign.
Don't tell, guys. The bet's losing. The bet's losing.
It's hit.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
You're
OSP
good.
got TKO'd against Tanner Bozer.
Tanner Bozer got fast hands. I hate his guts. I can't stand the dude, but he's got fast hands and he's got power. I'll give him that.
That was sparked by a knee as well. And I don't care if Bozer's not like a big power puncher or anything like that. If you get hit with a knee, like knees hurt. Like, I'm a small guy. If I knee somebody in the head, they're gonna be wobbled. It's just like knees are hard. So, but like, yeah, I mean, he still was able to catch him with that knee. So there is that.
I think OSP chin is better than Span, man. Even at this point in your career, like, I'm very confident in that, to be honest.
I don't trust either of them. This is such a like, this fight is like prelim opener on an Apex card, but here we are. Like, this is on a pay-per-view. I don't know here. I don't know. But with that said, we can move on because that was something. Let's see. I believe we got Dravi kicking off the next one. Carla Esparza taking on Tisha Pennington. Now, before we jump into it, something to be noted is that Esparza did, in fact, say this is her last MMA fight. She is retiring. So do with that what you will. Dravi, what do you think on this one?
Yeah, it's not my favorite fight on the card, to be honest. I think that Tisha is going to win a decision, but I don't think the price is, I'm not in love with the price, and they're not giving me anything for the decision prop, so I don't really like that. But yeah, Esparza, she has not fought in 2 years. She's coming back after saying that she's gonna retire for this fight. She just had a baby. Multiple red flags, multiple red flags. So Tisha, I think she won her last fight. She kind of got robbed, in my opinion. I don't say rob very often, but I think it was one of them. And yeah, she's just a much better striker. She throws more volume. She has good takedown defense. I think going to be able to stop the takedowns. And yeah, I think that as far as a path to victories, using her wrestling, obviously, but kind of a like 29-28 type close decision, like she did on Tough back in the day. And both of these girls have a lot of split decision on their resume. I think fight to go split is like plus 200. So maybe we see a split decision here. But I think Tisha is the one that's going to be winning it, landing the bigger shot, faster girl, doing more volume, and defend most of the takedowns. And it's not like one takedown and that's the fight for Carla. I don't see that also. So I think it go the distance at a very high clip. The over, I agree with that. But I think Tisha's the one that, she still has she has more in her at this point, like we said about the not OSP, but which fighter we did say that? Tim Meads, right?
Yeah.
The Tim Meads. So I think it's a similar, not to say Carla is wash or anything, but coming back after having a baby is not an easy ask, but coming back after 2 years off is not an easy ask. And then knowing it's your last fight and you're saying you're going to retire, it's all red flag all over the place. I think that's why the price is like that. But yeah, I think Tisha's going to win it.
Yeah. It was funny. I thought I was going to be kind of like sneaky or whatever and just like add the over 2.5 to a parlay to boost it a little bit. And then I saw the odds were like minus 600. I go, oh, geez.
I have
like
minus
350, minus 400. It was like minus 600. It's probably worse now because it's going over. So yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, I kind of echo what Dravi said. Like it's the red flags on the Esparza side, and I'm the guy that bet Esparza against Namajunas to win the title. Like I bet her as an underdog there. The fight didn't go anything like I planned, so it's not like it was a sharp bet. It was just kind of like, whatever. I won the bet. The money was green. So, but I think Esparza is very talented. I just think the red flags are too much. So we're taking Tisha here, and she'll be the first leg of the Pennington parlay to play a few pennies on. So I love that alliteration. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm rocking with Tisha here too. I want to play her. I'm hoping that it drops down to like minus 150-ish, so I feel less gross doing it. Because, at the end of the day, slim margins, don't really want to lay crazy chalk. But I went back to their first fight, and I know it's like 11 years ago, so it's hardly relevant. But I just wanted to get an understanding of the dynamic between the two of them. This is back on The Ultimate Fighter, so it was only a 2-round fight. And Esparza was getting takedowns, but A, she didn't get them easy. And B, she had a hard time holding Tisha down. And 3, similar to what I thought would happen, is Tisha was outstriking her. Tisha did have a significant advantage standing. And now looking at it, I think Tisha's going to have a significant advantage standing, a significant output advantage. If anyone's going to do damage, I think it's going to be Tisha. Do I think she knocks her out? Probably not. But I think she could cause some damage. I mean, look what she did to Sam Hughes. She put her away in the first round. I think it was a doctor stoppage or whatever it was. But at the end of the day, she can cause damage. I like her takedown defense a lot for Tisha. I think she can stuff most of the takedowns. I think Esparza's lost a lot of that explosiveness that she needs. Now that she's a little bit older, she's been out of the game, very inactive. She had a baby, right? That happened. Now she's saying this is her retirement fight too. We never loved that. So I like Tisha quite a bit here. Esparza's going to need to hold her down, and I don't know if that's going to really work out for her. I think she can get her down. I don't know if she can hold her down. I think Tisha does a really good job getting back to her feet. So for me, it's Tisha. I'm going to look for a way to get in somehow. And it wouldn't be me if I didn't think about the plus 1,000 knockout prop, but I probably won't do it.
That'd be wild. I don't know about that knockout prop, but I want to shout out JD for always being so freaking positive in the comments. This man he's always hoping everybody has a good week and all this stuff. Like JD, like just bringing the good vibes. All right. So I love it. Crossover, what do you think about this fight? Let's hear your opinion here.
I'm pretty much in agreement with everybody. I mean, Esparza having the baby, being off for 2 years, and then just listening to her in interviews saying she's ready for the next stage of her life. She's ready to do something else. She can't fight forever. Like when you go in the octagon, like you got to be all in. You know what I mean? And for me, with the fighter hearing that, that's never good. Then on top of it, I mean, Tisha's got solid takedown defense. I mean, it's like 65% takedown defense. So I like that. And then in Tisha's last few fights, she's fought really good competition as well. And she's looked really competitive in those fights. Like I thought she won the Tabitha Ricci fight as well. So, I mean, just seeing that. And then on top of it, like, you know who she's training with. She's training with Raquel, who's a champion. And, you know, they were both in camp at the same time. And I think that's going to help as well. So for me, that's why I'm going with Tisha in this fight as well.
Fair enough. I like it when we can all agree, because then that makes me feel like we're on to something here. So that's a good sign, I think. I think
it means we're square, Tyler. It means we're a bunch of squares. We should hang it up.
So that's the thing. You know, okay, in the comments, you're either gonna get a bunch of just people being angry that you got picks wrong, or if you get a bunch of picks right, but you picked all the favorites, you're gonna get a bunch of people being like, oh yeah, but you picked all favorites. But like if they win, like I picked all favorites for the Contender Series last week, but here's the deal. One of them wasn't a favorite at one point, the main event. But either way, here's the deal. I do my tape before the odds even come out for the Contender Series, so I pick who I think is going to win. And they just happen to all be favorites. So, like, yeah, I picked all the favorites, but they all won. So, like, what are you complaining about, you know? So we might be squares, but we're going to be winning in successful squares, gosh darn it.
I knew I was going to set you off on a rant. That's why I said that.
Yeah, because, like, nobody cares about how much value you got, or like how, like, oh yeah, like look at this like sharp play. If it loses, like if you just if you just get all these losing tickets, or like you get like 1 and 12 or something on a card, it's like they don't care how much CLV you got or any of that. They just like, you know, people want to see winners. So picking winners sometimes, and it's not necessarily what you bet. But when you're giving up your picks, by golly, sometimes you just gotta pick the winner. That's what we're doing. We're having a good time picking winners. We can bet the lose, like the people we think are gonna lose, if we think there's value there. But we're gonna pick the winners, darn it. All right. Either way, rant over. Mike, you know how to push my buttons, brother. You do.
I'm gonna do it all night.
Yeah, I don't doubt that a bit. Let's see. Dravi started the last one off. Oh shoot, that means it's me. Great. So this is Austin Hubbard and Alexander Hernandez. And here's the thing. I don't think Alexander Hernandez has been the same fighter since he got absolutely run through by Cerrone. And I think that kind of changed him, because since then he just doesn't have many wins. And the wins he does have are kind of like, well, the Jim Miller win was suspect. I mean, that was really close. He could have gone either way on the score. And when you look at some of his other wins, Trinaldo, I mean, Trinaldo probably could have won that fight. But there, you know, and then he's got a couple of wins that, like, yeah, you can't dispute them, but they're not the best wins. He's just been getting beat, and he falls apart. And I think he suffers from some of Ryan Spann's issues with like the mental struggles, I think, but not quite to the level. Spann is a whole different level, because at least Hernandez can put it together for an interview. But yeah, like I just think he has some of the similar problems, and I can't get behind that guy, especially at altitude when he gasses out all the time. And there's one guy that never ever looks tired and has actually beaten people because he's just been there before, and that's Austin Hubbard. Like what he did to Max Roshkov just was there, just consistent and just in his face, and wore him out until he was too tired to continue, and he quit. He said he didn't want to do that anymore. And by golly, I'm taking Austin Hubbard, even though like skill for skill, Hernandez is probably the better fighter. He's cleaner on the feet, probably the slicker grappler, but he's going to lose the fight. And I think it's because he's just going to get broken by a guy that's still going to be there, putting the pressure on and doing the darn thing at altitude. But real quick, JD, you know what? That's right. You run circles around me. Or he'll run circles around me, sorry. Yeah, that's right. There we go. Squares running circles. That's what we got. But yeah, anyway, point is, yeah, taking the guy that actually has cardio. Mike, what do you think?
All right, so I swore off betting Alexander Hernandez after the Damon Jackson fight, but I guess my swears don't really mean much because I kind of want to do it again. Now that he's down to like minus 155, I'm getting interested because look, here's the thing. There's this narrative that he's gassy, right? And yeah, he slows down, but it's usually against guys who are pushing the pace, right? Who gassed him out? Billy Q. That's literally his entire game, is be a punching bag until you tire out your opponents and then finish them. Bill Algeo, who is another pace guy. And you know what? In my opinion, he didn't slow down in the Algeo fight. He just got outmatched. Like, he didn't seem tired to me in that third round. Against Damon Jackson, he made stupid errors, but he wasn't gassed in my opinion. So I think the whole cardio thing is being a little bit overblown. I think maybe now at elevation, there might be issues. That's why I'm hesitating. But I think the cardio issues are being overblown a little bit. And Hubbard, to me, doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's going to push a tremendous pace. Maybe he will with the takedowns, sure. But I just don't think he's that kind of guy. And then, look, if we're standing, I think it's Hernandez all day. I was pleasantly surprised with the Hubbard tape when I was running back the Figlac fight. Because, I mean, Hubbard lost that fight. But he did a lot of things I've never seen from him before. He was actually, ripping combinations, working off the jab. He was doing front kicks, which I'd never seen Hubbard do front kicks before. And he looked pretty good. I didn't hate it, but I still don't think it's enough. Like, if we're just standing, I think it's Hernandez all day. I like his striking a lot more, clean, crisp down the pipe. I think he's got more power. I know he's not knocking out most people recently, but I do think he's got the power to do it. I like his takedown defense. I think he has solid takedown defense. I think he's very quick to get back up to his feet. He does the right things, hand control, use the hips, underhooks when he's trying to stuff takedowns. And I'm not crazy high about Hubbard. I feel like people are kind of really buying into the whole cardio narrative. Hubbard could probably get the takedowns, but is he going to do much with it? Is Hubbard going to rip crazy ground and pound? Is he going to lock in a sub? I don't think so. So is that really going to win him that many minutes if on the feet it's Hernandez who's having success, if it's Hernandez who's causing damage? Because, I mean, who knows what the judges want these days, but it seems like the majority of the judges have moved towards a damage over control kind of situation. But again, who the hell knows? So, yeah, I like Hernandez here. I want to back him. I kind of want a better price than 155. I might get it because it seems like a lot of people and a lot of money is coming in on Hubbard, and I get it. People are sick and tired of losing money on Alexander Hernandez. But I kind of think this is a better spot for him than the matchups he's had prior. I think Algeo is a tough out. I think that Damon Jackson is a tough out. And I think that Hubbard he's a tough guy, but I think it's a guy that Hernandez could beat.
Fair enough. I do want to point out that he must have been using those front kicks on the regional scene between his first UFC stint and this one, because when I taped him for his Ultimate Fighter thing, for that season, I remember writing the front kick as a new addition to his game from there. So he picked that up somewhere between first UFC stint and this one. But he was definitely using it to great effect in that last fight. Crossover, what do you think about this fight? What side are you on? We're split so far.
So I picked Alexander Hernandez, but I'm going to be honest, I feel awful about it. I don't really trust Hernandez. He's so inconsistent. Has skills, but I think his issue is between his ears, honestly. And I think he gets in fights and then like gets a little bit of adversity, and he hasn't really learned how to get through that adversity. And but on the flip side, Austin Hubbard doesn't strike me as a guy that goes out there and really just gets after trying to win the fight. Like, it's the vibe I get from Hubbard is like he just stays there, stays in the fight, and if he wins, he wins. Like, he doesn't try, like he doesn't go in there trying to just win this fight. But if you give Hernandez any reason to not want to be there and to kind of wilt, he will look for the door. And I ultimately just don't think Austin Hubbard's just going to put that pressure on him to try and like give him a reason to not want to be there. So that's why I picked Hernandez. But like I said, I don't feel good about it at all.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, staying away from this fight is probably the smart thing to do. But we're degenerate gamblers for a reason. At least most of us are. Maybe not all of us, but
I'm actually a professional. Thank you very much.
So that's funny. I actually have a disclaimer that, like, in my on my Patreon page for like the start here, like this, that straight up says that I'm not a professional gambler, and
Neither am I.
it's at your own risk, because I'm not a professional gambler whatsoever. But that is all right. But I'm technically winning on the year, and that's what matters. In fact, I even technically won a little bit last week, and I know that not many people did. So, it wasn't much. It was $5, but I was up $5 last week. Darn it! And that's because of Brian Battle.
That's what, 2 cans of tuna these days,
brother. That's like 3.
Hey.
Oh yeah. It's much cheaper to live here out in the great state of Nebraska than it is over there in New York, brother. But Dravi, what do you think on this one?
Yeah, I don't have a good read on this one. I think it's a tricky fight. I wanted to bet Hubbard when he was a bigger dog. I feel like I missed the train. When he was around like plus 170, plus 180 is the type of dog that I like, because the way I see it is I think the fight's going to go the distance. I think Hernandez win the first round. I think Hubbard win the third. You're saying the cardio is not like a big concern. I understand what you mean, because I went back and watched like the Jackson fight and a couple of his fights, and he looked okay in round 2. It's not like he's dead ass tired. It's just it looked like he can't put like a full 15-minute fight together. It's like he has some problem with like his own head, like you guys said. Like he doesn't trust himself, and when he fight adversity, it looked like he doesn't. I think he has a very good chin, but sometimes he get KO just because like he kind of quit on himself, And yeah, he's a guy that doesn't have the best cardio, and he's at altitude now, and you have a guy in Hubbard who used to train at elevation. So yeah, it's very good cardio. So I do think that Hubbard's going to win the third round here, but I think he's going to lose the first round and potentially the second one. But when you have a fight when it's like I think one guy win the first, the other win the third, you want to be on the plus money side. But I think now the line's getting closer, and you're getting like, I think it's closer to accurate. I think Hernandez like minus 175 makes sense. So I think now the value is kind of switching the other way. He's just not a guy that I really want to put my money in at chalk. He's just not a trustworthy fighter. But I feel like his career might be on the line here. So, we're going to see what happens. But I'm going to talk about the camp because there's some interesting stuff here. Hernandez used to be a Factory X guy. Now Factory X is kind of, the gym is not like, it's kind of split up. He did some training with Roy Wall. Some of these Factory X guys are together, but he doesn't have, I don't even know if he had a head coach right now, so there's some stuff that I don't think are going his way for preparing for this fight. And on the other hand, Hubbard is now training with your boy, Mike Bilal Muhammad. He did his full training camp there. I think that's good for him. And he's saying that he want to improve master his craft. And I do think that he looked better last time out, like you said, in the striking. So for him to switch camp after that and try to improve even more, it just showed me that the guy wanted to master his craft. And he has some things that you can't teach as a fighter: cardio, heart, the will to win. So I think Hernandez doesn't really have that. So I think Hubbard can win this, but Hernandez is obviously the more skilled fighter. He hit harder, he's faster, he's a strong guy, and I like him better at 155 than 145. That's for sure. So I'm gonna pick Hernandez to win here, but I don't have like a strong read. I wouldn't bet this fight personally, but I think the over is decent play. Maybe for a party piece or something. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get to it, but if I had to bet anything, I would go with the over rather than picking a side.
Yeah, I don't mind an over spot either. I do want to point out McPooperton. I can't say his name without laughing. McPooperton, the plus 3.5 on Hubbard. I actually played that myself. And
What's the line?
it's probably not good anymore. It's probably been smashed.
What did you get?
Minus 200, I think. There's no way he loses a round. Or he loses all 3 rounds.
Here's my issue though, and this was one of my rules going. Like after each year, I go over everything I do wrong, and I come up with some new rules for myself. My rule this year was I love spreads. I used to play them a lot, but I won't play a chalked spread because no matter how accurate your read is, no matter how on point you are, it takes one terrible judge to screw you up because you need 3 29-28s. And if one bad judge gives you a 30-27, you're clipped for no good reason because you deserve to win the bet, but that's just the way it is. So to pay up chalk on like a plus 3.5 like that, I just feel like in general, right, until they fix judging, I feel like it's not the move.
So I also played another plus 3.5, so maybe I'm thinking of that one. Because McCooperton's saying it's like minus 135, so I could be wrong on which one I got the minus 200 on. But either way, like just can't imagine Hubbard loses every round to a guy like Hernandez. So like I think it's safe. Like I feel like that's safe at like minus 400. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he finishes him. And if so,
I'll say though, in these type of spot, like I think Hernandez has the finishing upside. I'm not saying he's going to finish him, but he does have some finishing upside. So that's, it's not like we're laying, example, the Esparza versus Pennington fight, right? It's going to go the distance. I'm very confident in that. So when you play a +3.5 in this type of fight, you're very confident that there's not going to be a finish. Yes, I like the over in that one, but it's minus 200. It's not minus 600. And Hernandez, he's dangerous early, and Hubbard is hittable. So I could see Hernandez finishing the fight. I just don't think it happened personally. So when you're paying, minus 200 on a guy who's a decent-sized dog, you need to be hoping that there's not a finish, because if you go the distance, I think you're probably going to be cashing the bet. But when there's some finishing upside on the other side, I do think that there is a concern there. And the judges, like Mike said, I think it's the biggest thing here, because I've seen a lot of people playing this year and even last year. And the judges screw them. Mike, I think you lost a couple one last year. I remember top of my head that like bad decision. So it's very like when you make a good bet and the judges just, they don't give you the win at minus 200. It sucks. So, just my thoughts though.
I learned my lesson. It was Stephanie Egger against Luana Santos. I played Egger plus 3.5, like minus 140 or something. And she won one round. It went 29, 28, 29-28, 30-27.
Sometimes that is what happens, where the one judge just screws you. That I am worried about that. But honestly, I agree with Anthony. And Anthony put $5 on that for the donation. So thank you, my friend. I do appreciate the heck out of that. That $5 donation is going to go a long way. I could probably buy myself a nice little root beer for this fight with that. So that is exactly what we're going to do. But yeah, I agree. Hubbard probably outdogs him and then subs him. That is kind of, like a late sub just from outdogging him. I could see, or just like retirement on the stool. I could see that. Hubbard's done that to people before. But we've also spent a ton of time on this fight, and we don't need to talk about it anymore because it's it's there you go, right there. Yeah. Maybe a guy quit his entire career. He did. Actually, Rashkov did come back in Bellator, but he didn't do very good.
He didn't do well either. Rashkov has no heart whatsoever and no gas tank.
Yeah, I've very rarely said bad things about fighters when I do my breakdowns. I guess if you watched 2 weeks ago on the Contender Series, I was a little mean to Maziao and Kevin Christian. But either way, typically I'm very, very friendly and I give the flowers to everybody because both fighters are usually typically good. Rashkov is just such a quitter. I can't help it. And you know what? Maybe he's a good dude, but man, that's rough. Because you've seen it in plenty of fights. But we can move on. We're done talking about this fight, guys. And I couldn't plan this better because Mike's kicking this next one off. And here's the deal, guys. It's his boy. I even mentioned it in my video. Igor Poteria is Mike's boy, and he's fighting Cesar Almeida. Mike, please tell me you're on Poteria.
All right. So I was mad hype when I realized that I counted the turns and I was like, yo, I'm getting Poteria. Okay. So first off, you guys might not like this, but Igor Poteria and my guy, Voivodkin, future champs, double division champs. You guys might not like this. Peak male performance. I'm sorry. That's what it looks like. Okay. Voivodkin's going to take the heavyweight strap. He's going to lose some weight. And then he's going to take the light heavyweight strap and he's going to cook Pereira. Igor, DDP's done. Then we're coming down and we're taking out Shavkat. Okay.
Shavkat? How did Shavkat get the belt?
Well, I kind of assumed Shavkat's going to beat Bilal, but that's a discussion for another day.
I look forward to that. All right.
You know I love Bilal too. But anyway.
I'm 100% going to be on Bilal. But either way, continue.
This guy, Anthony Ganskow, is saying, I'm delusional? You're delusional for denying this. Are you kidding me? I hope you guys know I'm kind of playing, but okay. Only kind of, because I really want to see DDP versus Igor. But for this fight, look, Caesar is a way better striker. Not even close. Way more technical, much cleaner. Probably hits harder, which, though, I could probably make an argument the other way because Igor, coming down from 205, he does hit pretty hard. But I would say that Almeida's a better striker. If we're on the feet for 15 minutes, it's likely that Almeida's going to win. But there's a few things. I feel like a lot of people are operating under this assumption that Almeida's just going to cook him in the first and just knock him out. And who's he done that to? Anyone decent he's fought, he didn't finish them, let alone in the first. So I don't think he's just going to put Igor away right away. I think Igor is actually a pretty competent fighter. And while Almeida's 36, as long as he does the same dance Igor did when he finished Rua and everybody had a nervous breakdown because Rua lost and Igor did a dance and everybody was crying to their mama. Look at Igor. Look what he did. A bunch of babies, I tell you. But anyways, the way I see it, Igor can make this competitive. And my first point is I like the over 1.5. I played it at plus 110 because of what I said. I don't think Almeida puts him out early. I think Almeida should win. I think Almeida, if he wins, it'll be later. I think a decision is live as well. So I like that over 1.5. And then I also kind of like the Poteria decision prop. It's at plus 1,200. I think that price is off. I think that if we go the distance, I expect Almeida to tire. I think that at elevation, I actually think that's going to affect Almeida. I think that Igor can land takedowns. I know he hasn't gotten any in the UFC yet, but that is something in his game. He's got decent jiu-jitsu. I don't think he'll sub Almeida, but I think he can win minutes doing it. And, you know, I kind of mentioned it. Almeida's 36, right? We probably have around a finished product at this point. He could probably improve his takedown defense, but other than that, I don't think much is going to change. Igor, though, 28, compare him to the guy you saw on the Contender Series. Like, compare him to the guy that you taped at that time. It's not even close. He's improving fight to fight to fight. You watch him against Brishek, right? Everybody thought he was dead there too. He starts doing something I have never seen him do before in my life. He starts doing what Merab does. He feints the takedowns without the intention of getting the takedown, but he gets his opponent to start thinking about it. And then he comes upstairs. And then if they stop respecting that, what can he do? He can actually go for the takedown. So not that I think that's going to be a huge weapon. Maybe it will. I don't know. But I just like that he's improving his game, fight to fight to fight to fight. So I do think that he can make this very competitive. I think that he's live. So I'm going to take a sprinkle on the decision prop. But my main bet here is going to be that over, because realistically, I think Almeida probably wins. I just think it'll come later when he does win. So I'm rocking with that over as my main play here.
Hey, fair enough. I got to shout out Anthony once again for in the spirit of the spooky season. If you guys watched the intro that I put together for us, we're repping spooky season. It's October, folks. So if he's dancing over dead bodies, we're having a good time. But yeah, that's what we like to see around here. Crossover. What do you got on this one? Who do you like and why?
So in this fight, I'm going with Cesar Almeida. For me, Ihor, his striking doesn't really do it for me, especially going up against a seasoned kickboxer. And also his gas tank is a little questionable as well. And then on top of it being at altitude, I think only exacerbates that issue. Because I mean, in the Rodolfo Bellato fight, almost finishes the guy, gasses out, then gets finished himself. So, I mean, for me, I just don't really see that killer instinct. But I will say this, though. If he's not having success in the striking, I definitely see him trying to like implement some grappling. And I think he's aware enough to know like, hey, I need to try something else. So that part of it kind of like gives me a little bit of pause. But ultimately, I like Almeida in this. Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely a big favorite for a reason. And I think a lot of it has to do with the way that Ihor lost that Bellato fight. Dravi, what do you think on this one?
Yeah, I was liking the way Mike was going on this one. But then you said that he has good cardio. I was like,
what did I say? He has good cardio.
You said Almeida doesn't have good cardio, and you can see.
Nah, I said I think the elevation will affect Almeida.
Yeah, but you said you think Ihor can wrestle as the fight goes on, didn't you?
Yeah, that's fair. Good point.
That's just the thing I disagree. I do like you over though, because I think he could have wrestling success early in the first round, but I think Almeida has better cardio than him. That's where I think maybe we disagree. He did look good in the Robert fight, right? But I think people don't really take into consideration about this one. He had like 2-3 minutes break into a round to get his gas back when I think it was a low blow or something. I do think it did help his cardio when it happened. I think it was in round 2, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, he looked good in that fight, but the guy that he fought is not UFC caliber, if I'm being honest. And there's a couple of things about him. I don't think he has a bad chin, first of all. I think he's a pretty durable guy, but I think he has cardio problem. I think that as the fight goes on against a very good kickboxer like Almeida, I think he's going to get cooked. I think he's going to get his legs beat up. And Almeida, I think he has a very good chin also. So I don't think Eeyore is going to knock him out. But I think there's potential Eeyore grappling success in the first round. But I just really don't see him having success in round 2, 3, trying to wrestle. And I like that Almeida, you said he's a finished product. I do agree with the most part, but I like that he's switched camp and he's now training with Pereira, with Glover at this camp. I think for a guy like him, that's a very good camp and guys to train with. And he's training with taller guy, good with striking, and he has wrestling to train with. So I do like that from him. And so I said I was liking where you were going with, because I think he's going to finish him, but I don't think it's going to be in the first round. So we see it the same way on this. I think your over is going to catch, but I think he's going to finish him in round 2 or in round 3. So that's how I would play the fight personally. But I think your boy is going to end for 5 minutes. So
can I be clear, guys? 99% of what I said was joking outside of the over, and I do think Almeida wins.
Yeah. Okay. So
I mean that Almeida will win, I think.
Right. Yeah. And so first thing, actually, I want to point out her being gold standard here. I don't understand why more fighters don't do this. If you need a break, you can do. I honestly don't understand it. Kick him in the balls, poke him in the eye, whatever you want to do. I think the eye pokes are more effective long term, because even as the fight goes on, when you wipe the eye, throughout the fight, I think you should be poking guys in the eye early. If I get back in the cage, anybody I'm going against is gonna have to worry about that, because I'll poke you in the eye in the first minute, because I know it's gonna affect you the rest of the fight, and might as well. You're not gonna get a point taken for it, even if it is intentional. They don't do anything. So how many fouls did Dean Barry have to commit before he got disqualified? I mean, come on now. And he had to do a spinning back kick to the balls. That's ridiculous. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just telling you the truth. If you're not going to get penalized, just do it. You might as well grab the cage.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Yeah, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, darn it, especially when you're fighting for your life in there. So I'm with it. But another thing I want to point out before I get my breakdown, McPooperton, which I can't not laugh. He just subbed the Crossover's channel. Yeah, Crossover is pretty new to YouTube. 200 subs now, and that's impressive, because a day or two ago, it was 186. So that needle's moving. So if you haven't subscribed to Crossover, go ahead and do that. The link to his channel is in the description. Subscribe to Dravi while you're down there. And I'm sure you're already subscribed to Mike, because we do this all the time.
Better be.
You better be. If you're not subscribed to Mike, come on. So, yeah, there you go. That's hilarious. Okay. Anyway, let's do this fight breakdown. So here's one thing that a lot of people are pointing out, is that Cesar Almeida's takedown defense sucks, but I don't know that that's actually the truth.
It's not that bad. It's not,
because everybody kept saying it's so bad because Kopylov was taking him down, and they were like, "Oh, Kopylov he's a striker or whatever," but those were pretty good takedowns, and also the fact that Kopylov dropped him on the feet first made it so that you have to watch out for the hands, and if you're setting up your takedowns with the hands, that's going to make the takedowns come easier. Now, I admit you can use the wrestling to set up the hands better than you can use the hands to set up the wrestling, just because the threat of the wrestling causes bigger reactions typically. But if you've already dropped the guy, that changes things a little bit, which he did. I don't think that means Cesar Almeida's takedown defense sucks. I think it's pretty good. He was able to defend the takedowns from Budka, and Budka, although everybody thinks he's terrible, is a good wrestler. So what I'm going to tell you here is I think that everybody that thinks Poteria is just going to wrestle, I think they're going to be in for some trouble there. I don't think that's going to work for him. I do think we're going to predominantly get a striking match. Sure, that he might mix in the wrestling a little bit. That would be a good strategy, especially the fake the takedown, not actually trying to get it, but just give him something to think about. That's a good idea. I think Almeida's probably going to win. The problem is he's a massive favorite, and I don't trust him as a massive favorite at all. I can't. So it's a pass for me. We're going to crack open a nice cold root beer, and we're going to enjoy the show. But if we're picking winners, which is what we're here trying to do, is I'm going to take Cesar Almeida. And yeah, it's like you get one free foul per round. That's absolutely true. I think that's like part of the unified rules now. I don't know if it's actually written, but I think it's like the unwritten rule that like somebody scratched into the back of the page at some point. So yeah, that's what I think about this one. But we've all covered this fight. It's not a fight I'm looking to bet, but the over I don't mind. I don't mind the over. I probably not gonna play it. I love betting overs, but that one there's gonna be too much sweating on this card. I just don't want to do it. So
it's just
we're
like
not gonna do that.
Even with Igor, like who's putting him away in the first? Michel Pereira, and that was it. And like Bellato got him out of there only because Igor completely blew his load trying to get him out.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
Yeah, the only thing is I'm worried with the Ulberg fight. You know, Ulberg got him in the first round too. It was like with the check left hook, but it was a pretty clean shot, to be honest. And I don't think Almeida is the same early type finisher than Carlos. So I think he's going to finish him, but I think it's going to be round 2 or 3 personally.
Yeah, hold up real quick. Crossover, what did I miss on Tuesday? What happened Tuesday?
So I did a live stream for Contender Series, and I picked all 5 fights exactly right. All 5.
Like method and everything?
Method, round, everything. All 5.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Dude's like a fortune teller over here. That's impressive.
Don't get started on that, because then I'm not gonna get anything right. But yeah, I got all 5 perfect.
Nice. Yeah, I picked the winners right, but I didn't pick the methods right. So there you go, brother. That's sick. Did you put your picks on Tapology and stuff?
I did a Verdict. I don't know if you've heard
Verdict.
of Verdict. Yeah.
Were
I
you
do them
first?
on Verdict. I was 4th in the world on Verdict. But I also do Tapology as well.
Yeah, because like if you can get first on Tapology, because so many people do it, that's just like that's incredible. That's incredible. So but yeah, if you get method, round, and the pick right, usually you get first. So that's pretty good. Like, yeah, 4th in the world is incredible too. I mean, you probably just tied or whatever is my guess. But
so actually, the 3 people in front of me, they didn't get all of the methods right. Like I literally got everything. They beat me because they put more XP on other fights and they got more.
Oh, because it's Verdict.
I forgot. Yeah, I've never used Verdict, so I wasn't aware of that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got robbed. That's what I'm trying to say.
You what?
You got robbed. That's what you
exactly, dude. I put it all over Instagram. Like I even tagged Verdict. Was like, bro, this is a robbery here.
Yeah, it's impressive if you can get first place on that. So, let's see. Did we do a fantasy? We did do a fantasy game once. Yeah, I usually just accept any of the requests on Tapology. So if you request me for like a Tapology fantasy game, I'll just accept it. I don't really pay attention to it, but I accept it. So feel free to send those over. As long as I see it before it's too late. I don't see it all the time. But
and then on top of it, somebody in the chat was like number 30. Erica M in the chat. She was like number 30 on Verdict. Yeah,
that's pretty impressive. Like if you're getting 30th, like that's still because like it's out of a lot of people. Like, a lot. And like I don't use Verdict, like I said, but like it's still a lot of people. And I know I've done on Tapology, and the best I think I've ever got is in like barely inside the top 100, maybe. I guess I don't know about the Contender Series. I probably got okay on that one, but
I got top 5 one time.
Dude, how about Uncle Wheezy? He finished
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row. He was number 1, and I think he got like number 2 or 3, like 2 weeks after that. Like, dude's been killing. So I mean, sometimes you get that, you know. Some people just killing it. But let's move on. We've got Yasmin Lucendo taking on Marina Rodriguez, and let's see. I think we're on crossover start this time. So crossover, why don't you take this away and let's get some more fortunes predicted, huh?
So in this fight, I mean, I like Marina Rodriguez, but I'm not picking her in this fight. For me, her grappling has always been her Achilles heel. And then on top of it, she's 37 years old. And that's pretty much just where I'm at. I mean, I feel like the age and then the massive hole in her grappling has just always been an issue for her. And then on top of it, like her last few fights, I know the Andrade fight was tough. The Verna fight was tough. The Limoges fight was tough. I mean, she's been in there with the best women in the division, essentially. But at the end of the day, the age and the grappling for me is just why I'm going with Lucendo.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Age is definitely catching up with Rodriguez. Dravi, what do you think here?
Yeah, I agree with you there, bro. I did bet Lucendo. It was my first bet of the card, so I got it pretty early. I got -125. So now the price is way, it's -190. I think it's kind of accurate now. I wouldn't play her at the current number for sure, but I think the career trajectory is on her side. She's much younger. She has big grappling upside. We've seen Rodriguez when she gets taken down, she doesn't know how to get back up. Her cardio looked shaky last time out. I think the elevation is not going to be good for her. She was looking good against Andrade first 2-3 minutes of the rounds, but then she was kind of getting touch up at the end of the round, turning over, looking bad. I don't know what happened. It looked like she was about to get finished a couple times, and obviously when she gets taken down, she doesn't really know how to get back up. On the other end, you have Lucendo, who I think is a very, very good fighter that's going to go to the top. She did some training with Amanda Nunes. The girl's good grappler. And on the feet, she can crack. So I think that Rodriguez is the better striker per se, but I think that Lucendo pressure and power is going to cause her some issues. And I do think that Marina Chin is kind of, going away a little bit. She's 37, like you guys mentioned. And that's a big step up for Lucendo. That's why I said I wouldn't lay the current price. Rodriguez has been there, done that, but I think her time is coming. And you can see her in her performance. The cardio is not looking the same. The chin's not looking the same. Takedown defense is just okay, but the get up is not very good. So give me the girl who's much younger with all the grappling upside, who I think has better cardio. And I also give her more finishing upside in this fight. So I like Lucendo quite a bit, but I think the price is accurate. So we're picking winners, so you can bet -190, no problem. But I think -125 was a very solid spot. Was my first one on the card.
Fair enough. So something Herb Dean here pointed out that I agree that Rodriguez probably won that fight, but then again, I had a bet on her, so I was biased.
I had Andrade, and I felt like Marina won.
Okay, there we go. So that makes me feel better. Yeah, so I felt like she won that one, but at the same time, it's like Dravi said, she would start the round good and then just kind of not do well at the end of the round, and that's the problem. And when you're picking the fight based on what the judges are going to see, they're not watching the first 3 minutes of the round. In fact, they're probably not watching the first 4 minutes of the round. They're tuning in for the last 20 seconds, and that's what they're going to go off of. So, yeah, I mean, I got to take Lucendo as well because I know she's going to be making improvements fight to fight, which is what she's been doing thus far. I think she's probably going to be the one that's improving still at this point. Rodriguez is a finished product. In fact, I think she's slightly on a decline. I don't think it's a massive drop-off, but I do think she's on a decline. And the grappling has been a problem for her. And I think that, Yasmin can go out there and do what she needs to do to get the fight to the mat if she's having trouble on the feet. And I think she'll be able to do that. And I think she'll be able to win minutes that way. So we're taking her to get the win. Mike, I have a sneaking suspicion that you are on the other side, but let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, so the first thing I want to take issue is I don't see the power on Lucendo. She hasn't knocked out on anyone in the UFC. And I don't know if you guys know this, but she's knocked out 8 people. None of them have a winning record. None. Not one. All outside of the UFC. Not one has a winning record. Maybe she's hurt a few women here. She hasn't got those finishes. I personally don't see much power there. Compared to Jessica Andrade, I think it's not even close. I mean, we're lining her like Jessica Andrade was lined. We're saying they're on the same skill level? I think Andrade would eat Lucendo for breakfast and then again for lunch. I don't know. Look, the way I see it, Lucendo, I guess it makes sense to make her a slight favorite. She is younger. There is this potential grappling upside. I can get that. Don't agree with the power thing. And, the one thing I really wanted to look out for when I was trying to decide if I'm going to play Marina or not at +175, I wanted to see what kind of takedowns were taking down Marina, and I wanted to see what kind of takedowns Lucendo was using. Almost every takedown Lucendo gets is a trip, usually off the fence. Marina's almost always getting taken down by traditional takedowns. We're talking singles, we're talking doubles. If I've never seen Lucendo do that, why am I going to think she's going to do it now? I do think she might get a takedown or two, but I don't think that she's going to be able to hold her down. I don't think she's some kind of tremendous ground threat. We've barely seen anything. Who she fought? Brogan Walker, Carolina, Viana. Uragi's a good fighter, and for your debut, that's very difficult. So I'll give her credit where credit's due. But to make her -200 over Marina Rodriguez, who's fought the best of the best, even at this age is still an elite striker, still at this age is probably going to have the better output, much cleaner straight down the pipe. I mean, Tyler, you know technique better than I do. What lands first, a loopy strike or one down the pipe?
Mike, that would be one down the pipe. One as the crow flies, if you would ask me.
Thank you. So the expert's opinion, I believe that Marina will be landing first. I believe she'll be landing more often. And I think she has just as much chance as Lucendo to cause damage. I don't know about knocking anybody out. I don't think so. But I think she can cause damage as well. She's got nasty knees. I love her clinch game. The knees are nice. The elbows are nice when she decides to clinch up with you. And again, Lucendo's smaller, right? And Lucendo's not really throwing straight strikes. She's throwing loopy strikes. You got to be up closer for that. What's going to happen when she comes up close? I hope Marina will clinch up and start throwing knees. So that's kind of where I'm thinking. And after going through all that and just understanding that, okay, she is 37, but she's also to Rodriguez, this is a step down. And to Lucendo, this is a step up. And I'm looking at the women who are out grappling Marina. And we're talking about who? We're talking about Esparza was a little bit a while ago. Jandiroba was another one. And then I think I'm missing one more.
Dern and Andrade.
Dern. Wait, but Dern didn't take her down, did she?
Yeah, she had some top control in that fight. I think she landed 1 or 2 takedowns, pretty sure. And Andrade didn't really land the takedowns, right? But when she got on top, it was over. And it's not like Andrade is really wrestling these days. My question to you is, if Lucendo get on top, do you think Rodriguez get up?
I don't know necessarily. I personally think she probably could. I don't think much of Lucendo's top control. But even if she doesn't, I don't think that Lucendo is going to be getting easy takedowns. So, okay, so we give up a round. I'm on the plus 175 dog. We need 2 rounds, and I'm good. And I think she can take all 3. I'm not sold on Lucendo's grappling at all.
All right, that's fair. I think her wrestling is pretty good, to be honest. And I think she went round 3 at a high clip. I don't like Rodriguez cardio as recently. And at 37 years old at elevation, I think she lose round 3 at a decent clip. And I think that Lucendo is going to have grappling success more than you do. I think that's where we're going to disagree. And I think subbing what's her name? Viana is a good win to sub this girl.
Viana's also a flake, though.
Yeah, but she's not easy to sub. She was 8-1 to the sub prior to that fight.
Viana got armbarred by what's her face, Hardy, before she was good.
Yeah, did you see what Viana did to that bum at the bus station that tried to come up on her?
That was cool.
Dude, she busted him up good. That's a dude.
Yeah, it's still a good win by sub, to be honest. Let's just be real here.
Fair enough. Okay, so 3-1 on that one. Does anybody know what the plus 3.5 point spread is for Rodriguez?
Nah, but Herb Dean, the gold standard, spitting facts.
Where's it? I missed a few here. Let's see.
How can we forget about the aura?
Oh yeah, you can't forget about the aura. You can't forget about the aura.
You guys might have me then. You guys
dude, aura matters. Aura matters.
I jumped on board.
There you go.
Nah, bro, it's over. But yeah,
I think I probably ought to beat up. Dude, that's so funny. Oh man, I would not want that. That'd be pretty bad, especially because they look rough afterwards.
And just to be clear, at the current price, I do understand your bet. I just thought that at minus 125, I had to play her. But I think minus 175 on Lucendo, that's why I line. So that's where I line it. So minus 190, minus 200, I do think with the step up in competition, the line's getting a bit wide. So I don't mind a dog shot at the current price.
Yeah, and I don't mind your price either. Minus 125. I would have just passed at that point because I'm not playing Marina almost even money right now. But yeah, I don't blame you for minus 120.
Word. With that, we can move on to a fight that I've gotten a lot of flack over. So this is going to be fun. We've got Stephen Thompson taking on Joaquin Buckley. And I believe it's Dravi's turn to kick this one off. Dravi, why don't you kick it off?
Yeah, another fight where I do like the over. I think that Buckley is not dumb. He's going to come out here and he's going to wrestle. I've listened to some interviews. I wanted to, to see where his head at before facing Thompson. And I thought that his Instagram profile picture was interesting on the first look, So And he said in an interview, like, I'm not gonna, what did he say? He said, I'm not going out there to just trying to strike with Wonderboy. I'm not gonna be there to make friends with the crowd. I'm gonna make the fight boring. I'm gonna wrestle. I'm gonna clinch. That's what he should be doing. So I love to hear that. And I mean, if you're just trying to strike with him for 15 minutes, he's gonna lose. So I think that the wrestling's gonna be there for him. He doesn't have like the best wrestling of all time, but I think he's pretty strong. I think his wrestling has gotten better recently. And then I don't think he's gonna finish Wonderboy on top. I don't really rate his BJJ. I don't even think he has a submission. And his ground and pound is okay, but I don't see a ground and pound finish either. And on the feet, I could see Buckley having some success. And because of the takedown threat, like you guys mentioned on a past fight, I think Wonderboy is going to be a little bit scared to get taken down. And Buckley, to his credit, he has been looking good lately. Since he dropped down to 170, the cardio has been looking better. He's more in shape. He's taking his career more seriously. The striking has gotten better. I don't really rate his striking that much, but he does have some power. He's tricky with the movements. And I could see a world where, Wonderboy just outstrike him to a decision. Buckley doesn't do much with the takedowns. So it's not like, wouldn't be crazy for me to see Wonderboy win a decision. But again, another guy who's 41 years old, fighting at 30 years old at elevation. And I think Buckley is going to wrestle. I think he's going to make the fight boring and win a decision personally. So the overs, I think, cover both sides. I think Wonderboy pads the decision. I think Buckley pads the decision. I could see a finish, but I really don't think it's likely. So rather than picking Buckley minus 200, I think the over is a better play personally. And my pick's going to be Buckley to get a decision here with the wrestling.
Yeah, so a lot of people are picking Buckley because they think he's going to wrestle him. That's funny. Why does 138 hate Buckley? I don't hate Buckley. I don't. He's kind of annoying, to be honest, but I don't hate him by any means. I think he's a decent fighter. But here's what I'm thinking is, I know that Wonderboy's a better striker. I'm pretty confident that Wonderboy's got better cardio because we've never seen Wonderboy just like dead tired. Even when he's getting just grappled and ragdolled, we've never seen him dead tired. So I know that those two things are true. I do think that Buckley can potentially secure a takedown, but if you look at the people that are taking down Wonderboy, it's not like it's just anybody. It's not like just anybody takes down Wonderboy if they want to take down Wonderboy. You've got to be able to get him. You got to be a pretty skillful fighter to get him to the mat. And I understand that Buckley could wrestle him, but Buckley's primarily a striker first, if you ask me. I mean, maybe he's just been really working the grappling, but I think what we're going to see is a close back and forth fight. And I do like the over, but I think we're going to get a close fight. And I think what is going to be a thing that the judges are going to notice is that at times we're going to see Buckley diving for takedowns because he's getting hit a lot on the feet. And the desperation shot will, in the judge's mind, erase what you've done before that, because that is a bad optic. And we've seen it before where, like, if you are winning a round and you try to secure the round by keeping the takedown at the end, but it looks desperate, they won't give you the round. So that is something that I think can definitely happen. But no, I don't hate Buckley, but I do like Wonderboy. And I'm taking Wonderboy in this matchup, and I am fully expecting that it could be the fight where he just looks really old and doesn't do well. But I'm still taking him. I think he's gonna outpoint him to a decision, and I think Buckley's gonna have some success at times. But I think as the fight goes on, Wonderboy's gonna get pretty good at just stopping the takedowns, and I think he's going to be able to, as Buckley gets tired. Oh, there we go. Yeah, relying on physicality. But as Buckley gets tired, I think Wonderboy's going to just start to land some shots. So that's what I think. But Mike, what about you?
I don't know, man. I've been changing my opinion every 15 minutes with this fight. Look, I feel like this is a tough matchup for Buckley, personally. Like, putting age aside, I understand why he's the favorite. He's, 11 years younger, perceived wrestling upside. He's explosive, can compete in the striking, could get a knockout. So I understand him being the favorite. At the same time, I feel like it's a tough matchup because, like, the guys who are beating Thompson for real, like, we're talking about Shafkat, we're talking about Bilal, we're talking about Burns, all guys who can wrestle well. and grappling is something they've done for a long time. It's their thing. Buckley's not a wrestler at heart. Like, that's not his traditional skill set. Like, he didn't start by wrestling. Buckley started wrestling because he's a smart guy and a great fighter, and he's trying to get better. So he wrestles now too, and he's getting good at it. But again, a lot of it is physicality, just pure strength. And it's like a lot of people forget. Do you guys remember the Al Hassan fight? Who won round 3? An Al Hassan fight against Buckley. Who do you think won round 3?
I think Abdul Razak out wrestled him.
Yeah, he won it, which he shouldn't have because he has the worst gas tank. But Buckley dropped the 3rd round to him because he got tired.
And those guys hate each other.
So now we're asking Buckley to do something that's not really his skill set, to wrestle at elevation against a guy who stuffed the majority of the shots from Shavkat, stuffed, I believe, a majority of the shots from both Gilbert and Bilal. It's going to be hard. Like, Buckley can probably get them. He probably can, but he's going to put a lot of work into getting them. And then what's he going to do? He's got decent ground and pound, but he's not going to sub Wonder Boy. So and then Wonder Boy's got great get-ups too. So if he goes through all that effort to get this dude down and then he gets back up, it's going to start to wear on Buckley. So I've got some major concerns. I couldn't possibly get to minus 200. Again, I'll pick him as the favorite. So that means I think he'll win, I guess. But I think there's a really good argument for Thompson here. I don't necessarily think Buckley has the skill set. I do think that Buckley could compete on the feet because he's also a great striker, in my opinion. I've always been high on Buckley. I've been a Buckley truther. I picked him against Kevin Holland, Impa, on and on and on. But I just think he's going to struggle at range. I think if he can crash the pocket, then he'll have success. Like, he can definitely, and that's what he does all the time. He crashes the pocket, he gets up close, and he starts boxing. That should, could probably do some good work there. Maybe get a knockout. I don't really think so. And maybe if you put Wonder Boy on his back foot, take away the space he needs to move, yeah, you can make it harder. You can make him flat-footed if you're backing him up. So I get it with Buckley. I just think it's a dogger pass. I'm probably going to pass because Wonder Boy's 41, and I just get an icky feeling about this fight. But yeah, I think it's a dogger pass.
If for a moment, if I could add, I know MMA math doesn't work, but we saw what Wonder Boy did to Kevin Holland. And I don't know if you guys remember, but Kevin Holland made Buckley look pretty stupid. So MMA math, right? I don't know. I think that doesn't actually work.
Was that at middleweight?
Yeah. Short notice, middleweight.
Yep.
Yeah. The only thing I will add, though, on the cardio thing is since Buckley dropped down to 170, his cardio has been looking much, much better. He cooked Morono in round 3. He looked good last time out to a decision. So the Alassane fight was very concerning. And if I didn't see the improvements that he made at 170, I would probably bet Wonder Boy, to be honest. But we have seen him improve his cardio, and he was not even cutting weight before. Now he's cutting weight and everything. He's more in shape, and I think his physique looking better, but his cardio has been looking much, much better. So I just want to give him credit for that. So the round 3 of the fight you're talking about is a bad look for this fight, especially, but adding the fact that he was at 185 when his cardio was shaking the pass and he has shown improvements, I think I gave a bit of a pass after that, personally.
Fair enough.
So obviously so far I'm the only one that's outright said Wonder Boy's going to win, and I feel like that's going to remain the same. Crossover, what do you think here?
So in this fight, I mean, yeah, you guys touched on a lot of different things. So obviously Wonder Boy's age, it is what it is. I think the grappling, the threat of the grappling is not even necessarily the actual grappling. I think the threat of it is going to make Wonder Boy a little tentative on the feet, and he clearly has the advantage on the feet. Buckley in his last fights recently, his fight IQ has been a lot better. He's been using his grappling very well, and he's been getting better at it. Yeah, he's not a guy that's going to get submissions, but he definitely controls guys on the ground, will lay in their guard, get in half guard, land some shots so he's not getting stood up. And we've seen him do this over and over. And everyone knows what the scout report is on Wonder Boy. You gotta shut the distance off. You gotta grapple with him. You gotta get him in a clinch, get him up against the fence, make it dirty, get him on the ground, and you literally kind of have to like big brother Wonder Boy. And I mean, I just see Buckley coming out and doing it. That's just how I see the fight going. I just don't think it makes any sense for him to try and stay at range with Wonder Boy. Like, why are you going to try and beat Wonder Boy where Wonder Boy is his best? It just makes no sense. Like, you have an advantage somewhere, go to it, use it, and get you a win.
Definitely. I mean, if he implements the game plan correctly, it should be Buckley. But we're holding out hope. I think maybe Anthony was right. I'm thinking with my heart on this one. I mean, how do you not like Wonder Boy? I don't know. Either way, but we can move on.
Yeah, but bro, don't let us influence you. I mean, Wonder Boy has a chance to win this. He has a clear path, and if you don't bet him and you change your mind after that, you're gonna be mad at yourself. So
I'm not betting him anyway. Like I'm not that wild.
I just want to make sure because he does have a path, and I think we all touch on it. So it's just that more often than not, more than likely, I think that he's gonna get wrestled, and I think he's gonna lose. But I mean, if the fight's on the feet and Wonder Boy's getting up, like Mike said, he could definitely win the fight. That's why I didn't bet Buckley personally. I went with the over, like I said, but yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's like unless your name is either Randy Couture or like Glover Teixeira, you're probably not having like a career resurgence at 40 some years old. So yeah, I mean, I get it, but
but you don't need a resurgence. You're not asking him to go win the title.
That's true. Just ask him to win one fight. That is true.
I think this, like I said, I think Buckley wins, but I think this is a winnable fight for Wonder Boy.
Look at this, MMA Ricky. We got two people supporting the show tonight. MMA Ricky, good to see ya. What's up? Yes, follow his advice. We've got a great cast here, and if you haven't hit the like button, please do so. MMA Ricky knows what's up. Dude's coming in here spitting facts, guys. Spitting facts.
My boy.
That's what's up.
I do agree. I do agree with Mike though that Wonder Boy can win the fight for sure. I just think Buckley just is. I think he's trying to make a run in the division, and he like wants to be successful, and I think that's why he's been wrestling more. Honestly,
yeah, and he will need to use it here. I mean, if it's a pure striking match, he's not going to win, but he definitely can win a nice mixed martial arts match. So if he can get the takedowns, he can definitely win. Let's move on. We've got Roman Deliz taking on Kevin Holland, and I believe I'm starting this one off. Great. Oh man, I don't want to start this one off, but we're going to do it anyway. I like Holland. I want him to win, but I don't think he will because at middleweight, he just can't seem to stay off his back. And I hate it because here's the deal. I end up picking Holland in pretty much every fight. And a lot of times I find myself just screaming at my TV like, dude, what are you doing? Just stop talking to people and get up off the ground. And he won't do it. I'm a big fan of Kevin Holland. I don't know that he's going to get this one. Especially with him being a favorite at middleweight against a guy that definitely has the potential just to lay on him. I have to go with the Deliz, and I hate it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But I'm going to do it because at middleweight, Holland has shown us so many times that he just gets stuck on his back, even against guys that are lesser grapplers than Deliz. Although there is a chance that Deliz is just not going to shoot takedowns because he's done that before. So if that happens, I could see Holland putting it on him because Holland's a better striker by a landslide. It's not even close. It's not even sort of close. And realistically, I'll be rooting for Kevin Holland because, I mean, I enjoy the guy. I think he's hilarious, and I'm rooting for the guy. But I just, as far as like making a pick, I do think he's going to get laid on, and I think it's going to suck. And I think he's going to have moments on the feet, and I think the Deliz is going to say, "Oh, that was stupid. I need to just take this guy down and hold him." And I think that's what he's going to do. But yeah, so I guess we're taking Deliz as much as we don't want to. So what do you think, Mike?
I played Deliz plus 130. For a second there, the line came in on him, and I thought I'd finally get some reverse CLV, as you guys know I like. And then I got CLV, and I was like, damn, bro, that's not good. But it's looking like now I'll get reverse CLV again, so that's a start. Look, real talk, I'm a little anxious about the play. I played it because I feel like because of the way Holland fights, just the stupidity of it, on top of the fact that I do still think that while his takedown defense and scrambling has improved a lot, I do still think he could be taken down. And I think that Roman, his jiu-jitsu, like people forget, his jiu-jitsu is what got him here, his ground game. I know he hasn't really subbed anybody, but he's been using it to hurt people. We saw what he did to Hermanson. We saw what he did to Phil Hawes. He uses it to find that finish. I think at some point he's going to get to the mat, and I do think that he can get Holland out of there at that point. I think that the sub being plus 1,400 on Deliz is ridiculously dumb, especially if you're going to make the Holland sub plus 800. Like, do we really think that Holland's going to hit his Darce on Deliz? I'd be very, very surprised if that happened. And on the feet, look, Holland is so much better. He's a way better striker. But you put him on his back foot, he doesn't look as great. In the Michal fight, he was getting hit a ton, and it just did not look great to me until he got that finish. And I just feel like Deliz is just going to take the shots. He's going to move forward. He's going to be in his face because he is very durable. And while he's not as clean as Holland, he does hit really hard. He does have power. And, you know, I'm a guy who used to always try to fade Deliz. I faded him maybe 6 times at this point. But I got to give credit where credit's due. Like the Vettori fight, the combinations were nice. Like his hands looked a lot different than they used to. In the Smith fight, you know, not my favorite look ever, but the hands were there. Output was there. I know we weren't at elevation, but I do believe his cardio is getting better. I think that he's rounding out his game. And I think at plus, I don't know how you lay chalk on Kevin Holland because I used to, and it's a stressful experience and it never works out well because he's great. He's a really good mixed martial artist and an elite striker with a lot of power, and he's really fast, but he makes a lot of stupid errors. His ground game still isn't rounded up. And I just think Deliz is too dangerous. I think at some point he's going to do something. He's going to get him out of there.
You know, that's fair. If Holland was the underdog, I might be on the other side, but not as a favorite. Crossover, what about you, man? What do you think?
I totally feel you guys with those odds for sure. For me in this fight, Roman Deliz's striking is just very, very below average or below par, in my opinion. And I think he's going to have an issue getting to the wrestling. I think Kevin Holland, with the reach and the length and how long he fights, is going to give Deliz some issues. However, I'm totally on board with y'all. If Deliz gets him on the ground, like, Holland is in trouble for sure. I completely agree with that. But for me, ultimately, I'm going to go with Kevin Holland. Like, I for whatever reason, like, I typically do pretty well in the Holland fights. I may be jinxing myself in this one, but I think he's gotten better as far as, like, not just, oh, it's one takedown and now he's stuck here for 3.5 minutes. And we're like, everybody can go to the bathroom. Like, this is boring, blah, whatever. But I think for me in this, like, what really opened my eyes with Deliz is when he fought Marvin Vettori. It felt like he didn't even have a chance in the fight. Like, Vettori was kind of like, just, all right, you can't really hit me because you're throwing these big winging shots. And just like Mike said earlier, straight shots beat looping shots. And Kevin Holland throws straight shots, and Deliz is throwing these winging overhands and everything. I don't think Holland can get him out of there, but I definitely think he can hurt Deliz. Both of them got granite chins, tough guys, and I see it going to decision, but I'm going with Kevin Holland.
Yeah, the decision definitely makes a lot of sense to me too. I'm sure that's absolutely juice to the gills. Yeah, anybody know?
Decision?
Yeah, just like fight goes.
Fight goes is
minus 180, minus 175 for fight goes.
Okay, I might play that and just sweat a lot. That might
honestly, I kind of like the under better.
Really?
If I was to play, because I mean, look, kind of what my rule going into this year, another rule was, because I constantly pass on unders because I'm not great at them.
I hate unders.
If they're plus money and I can name at least 2 ways the fight ends, like, I should probably do it. And I mean, I can definitely name a few. I can name Deliz sub or some kind of funky TKO, but probably
How'd
sub.
you get to that rule?
I just realized that I was passing up on too many plus money unders or totals just because I wasn't comfortable with them.
Yeah, because I can usually name at least 2 ways a fight ends as an under, and that's
I'm saying plus money, not minus. I'm not laying chalk. I'm not laying chalk. Only if it's like good plus money. And like, I can see Deliz getting the sub, maybe something on the ground, TKO, whatnot. Honestly, he hits hard too. Like, yeah, Holland's durable, but it's also MMA, and I wouldn't be shocked if he got caught with something. And then at the same time, I think that while Deliz is mad durable, I could see Holland knocking him out. And
Holland could knock him out.
And if don't forget, we're also at elevation now, which that's a double-edged sword because on one
that
point,
favors overs.
I was going to say it can favor overs because then they get too tired to finish each other, but it can also favor an under if it's going to make one of them start making stupid decisions. And then maybe Holland could darce him because if Deliz donezo and he starts shooting, then Holland could rip something. So I feel like I'd be nervous playing the over, but I do get it because they are durable.
Yeah. But like, if you just look at like the history, like percentage wise, the fights tend to go over at elevation more than like at other places. So yeah, I'd lean over, but at the same time, yeah, you make some points. I don't know if I want to sweat that much either. But Dravi, what's your take on this fight? Who do you like and why?
Yeah, we're gonna make it 2 for 2 here. I think Crossover was speaking some facts here. I do think that you guys didn't mention a very important thing. You talk about the striking, but I think there's a massive speed advantage on the Holland side. Like, it's a crazy difference. It was the first thing I've noticed on tape. Roman is slow on the feet, man. And Holland is very fast, especially at 185. He's very fast, and he hit hard, and he's long. And Deliz, never been finished. Tough guys, like you guys said. But he got put down and hurt bad against Chevin Jaras in round 3. And Jaras did try to roll a darts after that. But he's not the same level of grappler as Holland, obviously. But he got put down in round 3 at that fight. And then against Imavov, let's not forget, he got hurt in the first round. He got hurt with a right hand, I think. But after that, he got hurt with what? With the knees to the body. And we can ask Anthony Hernandez how hard Holland hit with the knees to the body. He's going to have a little something to say about that. So, yes, Deliz is a tough guy. Yes, he's bigger. He does have wrestling upside. I think he could have wrestling success early. But, man, the guy's cardio is not very good. You referenced the Anthony Smith fight. That's a 205 fight, right? He doesn't have to cut much weight. The guy's a big guy for 185. That's a big weight cut for him. And now at elevation, he's going to look terrible in round 3. I can guarantee. So, could he, submit him early? Like Mike said, I don't really mind the sub I think that, if you think the guy's going to have wrestling upside, you could get on top and he's tricky with the submission. I don't mind the play for sure. And I think we could see a world where, Deliz get a boring decision. But I think more often than not, what we're going to see is we're going to see Deliz trying to win minutes in the clinch, but we're going to see Holland giving him knees and elbow when he's trying to close the distance. And that's going to make him hesitant. And then at distance, on the feet, I don't really think it's a fight, to be honest. The speed that I've mentioned is a massive, massive difference. Holland hit very hard, and he's long for the division, and he's tricky to deal with. And you guys mentioned also the takedown defense, the get up. He did improve since back in the days. He's way better now. And it's not like Deliz he's a very good grappler, but it's not like he's a very good wrestler. He doesn't get many takedowns in his fight. So, yeah, I really think that we're going to see a fight, maybe 1-1 going into round 3 here. And the difference in cardio and speed in round 3 is going to be even crazier because Holland's a cardio guy. He doesn't have to cut much weight to make 185, right? Him fighting at elevation, it's way better for his style. And then Deliz fighting at elevation, it's way worse, especially at 185. And he just fought at 205. Now he needs to cut back down to go back to 185 again. I don't like that. So I think we're going to see Kevin Holland being the first guy to finish Roman Deliz this weekend in round 3. Kevin Holland's the first guy to knock out Jeff Neal. Guess which round it was? It was in round 3. I know it was in regional, but he knocked out Jeff Neal in round 3. He knocked out Buckley in round 3. He knocked out Santiago in round 3. And he has a couple sub 3 in the UFC also. So he's a guy that has a lot of round 3 finishes in his resume. And you're giving me this guy that is going to be way faster, going to have a striking advantage. I can roll the darts. And also, when Imavov hurt Deliz bad, yeah, he showed heart. He got that dog in him. But Imavov took his back, and he could have submit him. I think Holland in the same position could submit him. When, if Deliz is very hurt, I think we could see a club and sub, And Holland is very good at, locking the club and sub. He's known for that. So I think he has KO and sub upside, especially after the fight goes on. As the fight goes on, when Roman is more tired, when he can get his takedowns going. And in round 3, when he's fatigued and he can't get takedown and Holland's piecing him up, I think it's going to be a nightmare. So I'm going to predict him to be the first guy to finish Deliz in round 3. Book it.
There you go. Well, I hope you're right about that because I do want to see Holland get the win. I do like him, and I like him more than Deliz, so that makes sense. But we can move on. We have a fight between Kayla Harrison and Ketlen Vieira, and I'm so happy that once again Mike gets to kick off the fight that he has so much invested in, and this is the one. So, Mike, why don't you tell us about your big bet that everybody's going to probably not like?
Big bet, all of $10.
$10 on that though is pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. So look, I'll get this out of the way. Kayla's probably going to win. I think she wins. I don't have much interest in Vieira money line. I do think it's I had the same slip up on my show. I don't think it's a step up, but it's one of the tougher people that Harrison has fought to date. Up there with Pacheco, I would say. I think Pacheco's better than Vieira, but up there. And I think there's some, challenges here for Kayla. Because look, Kayla, she's going to be champ because of her grappling, because of her elite level of grappling. But that's good.
I didn't see that one coming.
But her striking isn't that great, Harrison, right? And Vieira, she's got really good takedown defense. She hasn't gone up against someone like Kayla. Not really. And what I like about Kayla also, what I like about Kayla's grappling also is even though she's a judo lady, she doesn't stick just to the trips or the throws. She'll actually go for singles and doubles also. So I think it's going to be a hard fight for her. I think that Vieira could stuff some takedowns. And on the feet, I think Vieira will have success and she hits hard. But I think Harrison ultimately will get enough takedowns, enough work on the ground to win the fight. My point with that was I kind of like the fight goes. I want to wait until the line comes in a bit more because I see people still playing the under. A lot of people feel like Harrison will get an easy finish, and it's possible. She's really, really good and really dangerous on the ground. I just don't think Vieira is Holly Holm. I think the skill sets are very different. I think we're going to spend time on the feet, and that's why I kind of like the fight goes, because I don't really think Harrison's going to knock her out standing, and I don't think she's going to sub her. So that's that. The fun bet, though, I did take a little sprinkle. Just, I'm watching the tape, right? And everything I just said, what I just explained, the fact that I think there's a chance we're going to be on the feet for a decent amount of change. And I think that Vieira is a better striker. And I think Vieira hits hard. And now I also don't know how Harrison's going to hold up at elevation. I went through both their records. Neither one's ever fought at elevation, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know how her cardio is going to hold up. But she is a really, strong physical lady. I mean, she was fighting at 55 in PFL. And she made the cut really well against Holmes. So I'm not worried about that. But I do wonder, is that maybe combined with the elevation going to tire her a bit? So the way I'm thinking is, if Kayla's getting tired, either because the wrestling's not working or the elevation or both, and Vieira hits hard and is a better striker, and we're in round 3, is it that? Do you think there's more than a 1% chance that Vieira knocks her out?
I don't know.
I think there's more than a 1% chance if everything I just said is correct. So plus 11,000, round 3 knockout for Vieira. DraftKings, I believe it's still available. Threw $10 on it. It'll be a great time if it wins. And if not, it is what it is. 0.1 unit. I think Harrison's going to cook. I think it's going to go the distance. But I think there's more than a 1% chance Vieira gets a round 3 knockout.
Fair enough. You got to play the value sometimes. So, and plus, fun bets like that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I enjoy it sometimes too. I get it. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Crossover. What about you, brother?
So for me in this fight, I really see Kayla Harrison just ragdolling Ketlen Vieira. They're going to get in the clinch at some point, and the Olympic level judo is going to pay dividends, and she's going to get Kayla Harrison's going to get the takedown. Her top pressure is going to be crazy on Ketlen Vieira. She competed in the Olympics at 170. Yeah, she's cut down to 135, but I'm telling you, Ketlen Vieira is going to feel what is this? What is this woman that has her hands on me? And it's probably just going to be some ground and pound to loosen her up. And then next thing you know, it's going to be a sub. That's just how I see that fight going, really. Could the cardio be an issue at elevation? For sure, because I mean, Kayla Harrison does have a lot of muscle, but I just think Vieira is going to get overwhelmed with the physicality for me.
Absolutely. Dravi, do you agree?
Yeah, I don't have much to add here. You know, I don't mind Mike shot, you know, at the round 3. So I could see that, but I think it's a little bit more than 1% to answer your question. The only thing though is, would you be pissed if she get the sub 3 rather than the KO 3? A little bit, right? Just because
you're a little pissed.
Yeah, just because what I'm trying to do this year more than I didn't do last year is when I'm betting a round 3 prop on someone that I think is gonna get it because of exhaustion, like the fighter can get a TKO or the sub. So I think taking the round 3 too could be like more safe in a certain way. But I think the difference in prices are very massive, so I don't blame you for that. But yeah, I think Arison should smash. But yeah, I'm not laying this type of price. It's not my business. So I'll say though, if she cover her price tag, she should finish. And the under 2.5, which I think is her finishing, is plus 125. So I think if they go the distance, maybe she dominate the fight. But I don't know, man. I think that if she want to cover that price tag and make a statement, she should finish her. So if anything, I guess the under. But then in my head, I'm like, I see this going the distance, so I don't have a good read on it. But I think Arison's gonna finish, and I don't even know if it's gonna be KO or sub. So I'm like, fuck that, I'm just gonna pass.
Yeah, there's no shame in passing when you think Harrison's gonna win, and she's a massive favorite. I get it. I'm taking KO Harrison. I lean that she gets an armbar going because that was her thing for a while there, and then she kind of got away from it. I think she's gonna go back to it here. I think she's gonna toss her to the ground and do that thing that judo people do where they kind of keep the arm with them as they throw you, and then they go for that armbar right away. And I think that's what she's going to do. So not a whole lot to add. I feel like we can move on. Kayla Harrison's like a minus 1,000 favorite for a reason. So there we go. That said, we can move to the next one. And it's Jose Aldo taking on Mario Bautista. And I believe Crossover's kicking this one off. And this is probably one of the closer line fights on the card at this point. Crossover, what do you think?
So in this fight, I think this is just really going to be a chess match on like, I see both guys having success in this fight. Jose Aldo really turned back the clock at 301 against Jonathan Martinez and looked really good. Like he looked like he was still sharp. He was still on the top of his game. So I'm expecting that same guy to be here in this fight. With that, Jose does slow down a little bit in his fights, though. So at altitude, how does that play into it as well? Bautista has really good cardio, in my opinion. I see this being a tough fight. I don't think either guy gets a finish. I think it goes to decision. But I see both guys having success, and I can see it being 1-1 going into the third. And we're just going to see who wants it more in the third round and whose cardio holds up the best.
Yeah, cardio is definitely going to be the kicker here. Dravi, what do you think on this one? Because it is like the closest line fight for a reason. So I feel like we're going to be split throughout the four of us.
Yeah, I feel like it's Aldo's the dog of the week, and I kind of understand why. You know, the guy's a legend, obviously. And after his last performance, you kind of want to bet him as an underdog, but I don't think he's going to win this fight, to be honest. I think he's going to – you said that it's going to go 1-1 into round 3, and it's going to be – after that, it's going to go like who has the better cardio and wants it more, and I couldn't agree more. I think that's exactly what's going to happen, and I think Bautista's a cardio monster, to be honest. The guy pushed a crazy pace. He landed like 60 significant strike against Ricky Simon, who is a cardio guy himself. He outpaced him in round 3. And yeah, Bautista has been looking way better than he usually did in the past. The guy makes his game very well together. I think he's the next coming from MMA Lab. I've backed him at plus money against Ricky Simon. So I don't really like him being minus 150 against Aldo, who I think is a tougher matchup for him. To touch the Martinez fight, I think that they look kind of the same when you're looking at it a little bit, but I think Bautista fight way different. And he fought the way you need to fight to beat Aldo, which is, yeah, exactly, man. I mean, Martinez is a kicker. I made a ton of money on him when he was an underdog in this fight. So props to him. He's a good guy. But I mean, the guy kicks very well. Aldo, what he does, he check kicks like you can kick him, you can take him down. And Martinez doesn't really box well, and he can get caught in the boxing. So yeah, Aldo looked very good, but I think it was a good matchup for him. There and this one also, Martinez doesn't push a pace. He doesn't really. So here, Bautista's gonna push a pace on him. I think the difference between him and Martinez is I think Bautista has a better game in the clinch with the elbows, with the knees, and I think he has very good grappling. Now, I know Aldo's takedown defense is phenomenal. I'm not sure that Bautista is going to be able to take him down, but that's the thing, though. I think he's going to try to implement the takedowns, which is going to allow him to open up the striking. And we've seen Aldo versus Merab. What happened? Merab didn't get him down, but Aldo was low volume on the feet because he was waiting for the takedown. So I think Bautista being at a smart camp, I think he's going to try to do something similar. The guy, I do rate his grappling, and I think his takedowns is a little bit tricky. So I could see a world where you get like a takedown, So it's not impossible, but I think he's going to use the takedowns to open up the striking. I think he's going to land more volume. I think he win round 3 at a high clip. I think the elevation favor him. He's the much younger fighter, obviously. And Aldo's just not in his prime anymore. He's not washed. He looked good still, but Bautista is prime time for him. He has everything to gain from this fight. And yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I don't put too much stock into that, because, the UFC probably wanted Mike Malott, my guy in Canada, to get it done against Neil Magny, and it didn't work that way, So even if you're a big favorite, the UFC want this, they want that. I'm sure they want Almighty to beat Merab too, So yeah, sometimes when you're hesitant on the side and the guy that you want to bet, for example, Paddy Pimblett against Bobby Green, I back him there. He was the underdog and the narrative was on his side. That's a plus, but yeah, so I think that Bautista's going to get it done, but I think it's going to be a good fight that go the distance, potentially a war. And yeah, I just think that Aldo's going to slow down in round 3. I think Bautista get this round at a high clip. And I don't like that everybody is on Aldo. He's the dog of the week. All I see is Aldo. The market say nope. They keep the price right where it is. So I do think that it says something when everybody's on the same dog, even sharps that I know on him. So but the lines doesn't move, and when the line's dropping a little bit on Aldo, buyback come in right away, and the line go back up around minus 150 for Bautista. So it does say something, and another fight where I prefer the over than the side personally here. But I think Bautista's going to win a decision and make a statement in his career.
Yeah, fair assessment there. I do agree in the fact that I think that the over is better than picking a side as far as like which is a safer thing to do, because I think we're going to get a greasy split decision here. And it could go either way. And because I think it's going to be a greasy split decision that could go either way, I'm going to pick the guy that I'm rooting for, and that's Jose Aldo. Mostly because there was a time when Jose was my favorite fighter and kind of went away as, there's other fighters out there that are not 38. And, I root for them. Now nobody's going to top my boy Juicy J, so that's just what's up. But for me, I'm going to take Aldo, but not with any confidence whatsoever. And I think that Bautista could absolutely just do enough. But I think if it goes to a split decision, I think there's enough of the judges there that also want to see Aldo win. And regardless of whether or not they claim that they're biased, I could see him scoring it for him because I think it's going to be close. I think Aldo's going to have moments, and I think it's going to be one of those fights. So I'm going to take Aldo. I think the judges are going to be a little biased for him too. But Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I played Aldo at plus 140. I don't know how I feel about it. I've considered hedging off a few times because he's 38. Bautista's a stud. I've been backing him for a while. So I thought about it, but I also almost bought out of Duncan last week, and that would have been terrible for my night had that happened because I didn't do great last week, and Duncan was one of the things that saved me. And I get that Duncan was losing, but also my entire read was based off of the fact that if they hit the ground, Oki is super green and doesn't know what to do. And I was kind of right, so I'm cool with winning that one. So, and then I retaped it today, the Aldo fight. And I decided I think I'm going to leave it alone too. If it loses, it loses. It is what it is. Like, I acknowledge that Bautista will probably have the cardio edge, even though Aldo did fight Merab at I believe it was also the same place.
It was the same place.
Yeah. And that's Merab, he couldn't really do much. Merab was just holding him, couldn't get any takedowns, though. The cardio held up in that fashion. I do think Bautista will probably have a cardio edge. I do think that Bautista has like a lot of weapons. He mixes it up really well, which I love about him. And I love his output too. And I think the forward pressure is going to be really useful. The fact that he can grapple is great too. If it gets to the ground, he's very creative, but I struggle to see him actually taking Aldo down. Maybe if he hurts him first, then maybe he can do it. But Aldo's like as elite as it gets when it comes to takedown defense. And I have a hard time seeing it because Bautista's a good grappler, but he's also grappling guys who aren't very good. I mean, this is a tremendous, even at 38, Aldo's a big step up. The best win on his career is either Ricky Simone or Blackshear before this. And those are great guys, but they're not on the level of Aldo, and they're also both grapplers. And even against Ricky, right? Because Ricky's got some boxing, and Ricky was landing against Mario. It wasn't just like a blowout on the feet. And I think Aldo's an elite striker. He's got elite hands. The hand speed at 38 is just ridiculous. I mean, I was watching him just rip at Martinez, and the fact that he's this old and he still looks like that fighting is crazy. The way he mixes targets, I love that. Body, head, body, head. I pray to God that he starts using more leg kicks. That would be great because that's literally his weapon. And if he can take the movement from Bautista, then I'll feel good about it because that's one of the things. Bautista moves really well, and he moves a lot. If Aldo can start piecing up that leg, that'll be extremely helpful. If not, I still think he could win. It's going to be a tough fight. But ultimately, at plus 140, I'm down to just leave it alone. Because realistically, like Ricky Simone, Blackshear, I think those are solid wins. But Guido Canetti, subbed Benito, Kelleher, Perrin, not the best competition. I think he's elite, and I think he's going to be like even better. But I just think it's a big step up, and I think Aldo can beat him.
Yeah, and another thing that I didn't add that I should have added. So this is going to, I don't know, this might come off weird, but here's the deal. Even USADA had a hard time going down to Brazil because Brazil didn't want them there. And now that USADA's gone, I'm willing to bet that this other, drug-free USA or whatever, is going to have even a harder time getting to Brazil. And with the way that Aldo looked in that last matchup, he really turned back the clock. So I'm not saying that Aldo's on PEDs, but I'm saying that like
steroids, bro, 100%. Him and OSP got the same plug.
I'm saying he definitely sure could be, and I mean that does also make me feel better about him. So there's that. But yeah, I believe we've all gave our 2 cents on that one, and we will move to the co-main event. And this is going to be interesting because a lot of people's breakdowns have been absolutely unbearable when watching them talk about this fight. So hopefully none of us are going to do that. We have Raquel Pennington and Juliana Peña, and this matchup is the co-main event for the Women's Bantamweight Championship. Dravi's kicking us off on this one, I do believe. And Dravi, what do you got?
I don't have much, to be honest. I know there's a lot of passionate takes on both sides. I don't really have one. I like the Pennington side a little bit more. I think she's a better striker. I like her cardio better. She's a champion. I think her takedown defense is just okay, but it's not the best. So I think they could both land takedowns. I think we could see some grappling here. But I really think that it's just going to go the distance and going to be a competitive fight. So another fight where I think it goes over, maybe some sketchy moments at elevation, with maybe some potential sub. But yeah, I think Pennington's just way cleaner, the much better striker. Peña, I think that she's gonna get touched up a little bit a little bit too much in this fight. And I don't like the layoff from Peña also. So I think that Rocky's gonna keep the belt here and win a decision. And after all the talk they did and everything, maybe they're gonna go at it actually with all the tough background and make the fight a little bit more interesting. But I think that Rocky's better than her. I think that Peña is still living in the shadow that she beats Nunes one day. And I don't know how much she's focusing on this fight. I'm looking at the way she's training, the girl she's training with. I think she's training with Montserrat Rondon or something. So I don't really, I don't know how seriously she's taking this fight. But I know Rocky, she wants to stay the champ, and she looks hungry. So yeah, I like her to win this, and I think she's gonna outstrike her to a decision.
Yeah, similar sentiment there. I'm not as confident as I'd like to be. I'm not as confident in Raquel in this one as I was in her last one, and I felt pretty good about her in her last one. But I think this one's a little trickier because Peña does put a pretty good pace on people early, and you can overwhelm someone. It is a thing. So, but no, I think Rocky's gonna be able to put her up against Cage, do what she needs to do, work her dirty boxing in there because yes, she has a good jab. Both of these ladies have good jabs, but what Rocky does different than most women is she has very good dirty boxing in that in the almost clinch where you're not quite clinched, but you're kind of clinched, and she can just work work the body, come back up top, and she does a really good job of that. So I'm going to take Rocky to get the decision here. I think she's going to probably do enough. Could there be a finish? Sure, but I don't feel great about it. But one thing I do have to mention is that she would be the second half of the Pennington parlay that we're going to play a couple of pennies on. So that's what we're gonna do there. I like the alliteration. Had to bring it all back to that. But Mike has a take on this. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a passionate take. Like pre-tape, I was thinking, I mean, Rocky chalk never is what you want to do. Peña could make it close. And then I taped it, and I definitely can't get behind Peña. Like, first of all, she's just been out all the time. She spends more time talking than she does fighting. She's constantly out, constantly some kind of issue. Inactivity to me is always a big red flag. It's like one of the main, not main, but it's one big thing that I consider. If someone's really inactive, that's a problem to me. And I struggle to see how she pulls it off, really, outside of like getting Rocky down and subbing her. I don't really get it. And I don't really think she's going to take down and sub Rocky, because in order to make this a close fight, you got to be able to strike with Pennington. And this isn't Nunes. She's not going to throw her around, but Pennington's a way better striker, a way better boxer than Peña. Peña literally strikes in these flurries where she just runs forward going like this. It's kind of what Dricus does, but Dricus has extreme power and just athleticism behind him, and Nunes does not. Peña does not. Peña will run forward like that, be open to counters, and it's just not effective. I don't see how she can outstrike Pennington, and I don't think that she's going to be taking her down every single round and controlling her. I think Pennington's got solid takedown defense, good get-ups, and pretty good jiu-jitsu defense. I don't really see her getting submitted. And then the cardio, I think it's not close. We have no reason to believe Peña can do 5. She went 5 against Nunes getting her ass kicked, but that doesn't really tell me anything at all about her cardio. And I know Pennington can go 5. I know she trains at elevation, so I'm not worried about that. So, yeah, I like Pennington. Again, I couldn't get to the chalk just because Pennington does usually fight close. But with the 5-rounder, I honestly don't think it'll be that close. So I might get to the money line if it drops down a little bit more. If I can get like Rocky minus 145, 40, I would probably do it. I also played her decision. I did that already at plus 110. I just kind of also want to add some on the money line in case she does get a late finish. I don't think Pennington finishes Peña. I think we go to a decision. But again, I really don't know what to make of Peña's cardio. I think it's good enough to make it, but I think there's a chance she can't. So then I kind of want to cover myself. So I'm going to see. Maybe I'll add something to Pennington money line, but I do like her to win.
Fair enough. Crossover, how about you, man?
Just like you guys, I'm just going to sound like a broken record here, but Pennington, much better striking. Peña's striking, dude, is honestly, it's like painful to watch. It's like, what are we looking at right here? Just closing her eyes and throwing shots. I think somebody in the chat said it like that. That's spot on. One thing I will say though about Peña is like she's a dog. She got some grit. Doesn't fade when she gets a little bit of adversity in there. So I give her credit with that. But on the flip side, Raquel Pennington's a dog as well. Like she comes to fight, is gonna be there. Just like what Mike said though, like she's always in close fights, which I couldn't agree with more. But at the end of the day, I like Raquel Pennington. I think for me, Peña, I really don't know. I think this says more about the bantamweight division than it does anything else with this fight. Because I'm just really wondering how is Peña here? Like hadn't fought in 2 years, I think, and then in her last fight, like Nunes was beating her up badly. So for me, I just see Raquel Pennington winning the decision.
I like that we all agree on both of the Pennington fights. It makes me feel way better about the Pennington parlay. So your boy's going to play it. I'm going to play it. I haven't played it yet, but I've been wanting to play it. And this is all the convincing I need. So this is great. This is what I want to hear. We can move on to the main event. And oh shoot, unfortunately, I got to kick it off. Okay, well, I'm going to kick off the main event then. But real quick before I do the main event, because here's the thing: as soon as we wrap up our main event talk, a lot of people are going to jump off the stream as far as like the viewers, and we don't want that. Before we talk about a few things, I want everybody that's in the chat here, if you don't already do it, what you're gonna do is you're gonna click on the links in the description of this, and you're gonna go quickly subscribe to the other channels on this stream here. We got Dravi. I put a link to his I guess was it a communal podcast, I guess. So yeah. He's on there with a couple of other fellas. You're gonna want to click on that. You want to go subscribe to that. Crossover just started a channel fairly recently. He's kind of just getting the ball rolling. So you're going to want to go do that. Shout out to my boy Ness right quick, though. That's funny, Ness quick. Shout out to Ness. He was actually going to be one of my original guests on this, but he had to work. So that's a shame. Buddy of mine, he goes to jiu-jitsu with me and stuff. So, yeah, there you go. And he's absolutely right about what he said there. So he's also got a channel. I'm going to shout him out, Garage MMA. I believe that's what it is called. It's got like 30 subs. So go subscribe to him, too. But point is, if you haven't subscribed to all the folks that are on this stream, go do that right quick. And then if somebody is more smarter than I am, we'll be talking about the fight by the time we get back. Okay, so main event. We have Poetan, Alex Pereira taking on Khalil Roundtree, which I don't think he has a nickname. So we're just gonna call him Khalil Squaretree. Just kidding. That's so stupid. That's a bad nickname. I gotta take Poetan. This is one of those fights where it's like, you don't want to pick the big favorite because you think it's too easy, and all of a sudden you start getting nervous about the fact that you're like, oh man, he's a really big favorite, this, that, and the other. And we've had this before where it's like all of a sudden you kind of start feeling yourself getting nervous about somebody that you think should win pretty easily. And don't get me wrong, I mean, Roundtree's not like a bum. He's not a bum whatsoever. He's actually pretty good. And I mean, he's on a pretty good winning streak. Was it like 5 or 6 fights right now? I think it's 6. Although one of them was a little questionable. But either way,
he lost to Jacoby.
He did definitely lose that fight, which is funny because I had money on Roundtree in that fight, and I even said, I was like, man, I'm pretty sure he lost that fight.
I had money on Jacoby, bro. That sucked.
I was thrilled when they gave me that money, but like I said, the money was still green. But at the same time, I feel like I robbed some people for that one. But yeah. So the thing is, I think it's one of those things we're overthinking it. I think Poetan's going to win. I think it's going to be a second round knockout. And I think what he's going to do is he sets this up really well. Is he starts jabbing to the body to get you to parry with the hand on the right side, because I mean Khalil's the southpaw, so that's a little different, but it's still the same. It's the same concept. He's going to start jabbing to the body to get Khalil to take his right hand and parry that down. And once he starts getting that reaction, that's when he feints the jab and comes up top with a hook, and he puts people out. He did the same thing to Strickland. It was easy against Strickland because Strickland always parries with the rear hand. It's what he does because he wants to jab and he wants to parry. That one was easy. But he's done this to other people as well that don't give him that. And it's just, I think it's what he's going to do here because the Thai style, you can bait Thai fighters into parrying like that. And I think that's what he's going to do. So we're taking Poetan. We're going to take him by a lead hook knockout. And I think he's going to do it probably in the second round because that's just when he knocks guys out. So whatever. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't have anything too crazy to say. I think Pereira should win. I don't know when he knocks him out. It's probably a knockout. I know a lot of people are really going crazy about the sub prop on him. And look, I know their basis. Their basis is that Khalil will panic shoot and Pereira will like guillotine him or something. I really don't think it'll happen. And you know me. You put a plus 2,000 in front of me. If I can come up with one argument, I will take it. I just don't really see it here personally. I think he probably knocks him out. I just don't really know what you can do with it. You know, Pereira money line is like minus 500. KO is minus 300. Round 2, I just checked. It's plus 350. You can't really do anything with it. You got 5 rounds to worry about. And look, at the end of the day, in general, I don't like when pure strikers are minus 400 or minus 500 because all they have is the striking. They have no way to cover if that's not working. Like they don't have wrestling to back it up, no sub game. Like if I see a minus 500, I have to think they have everything well-rounded and they're not just like pure strikers depending on winning that way. At minus 500, it seems crazy. He's never been that wide in the UFC. I do understand it. Roundtree is a relatively stationary striker, much smaller. He's a great striker, but he's not on the same level. So and he probably won't grapple either. So I do get it. It just kind of irks me to have a minus 500 with no grappling. Regardless, I'll probably get to a Roundtree sprinkle. I'm going to wait. I don't want to force anything because I don't really care. I'm happy to just watch. I don't need a bet. But I just know that the parlay boys are going to come in hot. Pereira's going to get blasted up. Roundtree's going to be like plus 500. My brother's going to call me asking me if his parlay with 10 legs and Alex Pereira minus 500 at the end is a good bet. I'm going to tell him no, and he'll do it anyways. And then I'll put a sprinkle on Roundtree at like plus 500, like a quarter unit, expecting to lose, but understanding at the end of the day, Roundtree does hit really hard. He is a good striker in his own right. And Pereira does have a chin that can be cracked. I don't think it will, but if I get plus 500, I'm willing to take the shot. If not, I'm happy to watch.
And another thing, real quick, is that hasn't Khalil Roundtree been out grappled by a pure kickboxer before? If I'm
Pracknow, yeah.
Oh, that one too. I was thinking of another one, but that's okay. Yeah.
Pracknow's like a karate guy, I guess.
What about Carl
Roberson?
Mm-hmm. Carl out grappled him, and that's not good.
Carl had like low-key grappling success, though. Remember when he out-grappled Kopylov, too?
Yeah, which that was weird. But, yeah, he was supposed to be a pure kickboxer, too. So, I don't. But, yeah, either way, I do think it's going to be a striking fight. So, Crossover, what's your take on this one?
So, for me in this fight, I think everybody's aware, like, Roundtree's going to have a speed advantage. Both these guys have crazy power. It's 205. Something I think a lot of people I haven't really heard people talk about is Alex is one of the most accurate strikers in the UFC, and Roundtree, I think his significant strike average is in the 30s. I think it's, let me see. Yes, 39%. So, I mean, swinging and missing a lot. Swings to KO guys and misses a lot, and that's going to hurt your cardio in altitude. And then on top of it, he absorbs more strikes per minute than he lands. That's not a good recipe against Alex Pereira. And then on top of it, I think with the matchup with Roundtree being the southpaw and Alex using those body jabs, the body jabs are going right to the liver. So it's a little different with the southpaw and you're doing the body jabs. However, I think those body jabs, the way that Roundtree can counter them is with the power kicks. So it does make me a little nervous with the body jabs from Pereira. But ultimately, I mean, I'm gonna go with the two-division Glory Kickboxing World Champion. He's seen every version of striking on the planet. I'm sure he's seen Muay Thai southpaw strikers with power. He's gonna have a plan. This guy spars all the time. His foot positioning is great against southpaws. He's always winning the lead foot position, the outside foot position, I mean. And then his hand fighting is very good with the lead hand against southpaws as well. For me, I'm all aboard on Alex Pereira. I mean, I know he's the huge favorite, but for me, I mean, can Khalil win the fight? Absolutely. Can definitely catch him. Got the power. It can happen. But ultimately, I'm going with Poteria.
Fair enough. I love that you mentioned the jab will be to the liver because that's key right there. Especially because, like you said, like when you're southpaw versus orthodox, it puts not only does it put the southpaw's liver up front, but it puts the two lead sides like really close together. So that. Definitely like that little tidbit we added there. So, Dravi, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Pereira should win this. It just like Mike mentioned, like he's never been this big of a favorite so far in the UFC, and at the end of the day, it's 205. Roundtree hit hard, and we've seen Pereira get cracked before. So anything can happen. It's MMA, but at 205 and 80-weight, I think there's more like things that can happen, when someone lands a big punch. But I think Pereira should get this easily, to be honest. It's just that I've lost a lot of money trying to fade him, trying to bet him. I didn't do well in this fight so far. I bet him against Prohaska the first time. I tried to fade him the second fight. I bet Hill. I bet Blakovic. And then I bet Adesanya in the rematch, so I got that one. But it just, I don't know, man. I'm not going to fade him, that's for sure, but I would have liked a better price, and I was hoping that money come in on Roundtree, but it's not happening. So yeah, I think Pereira's gonna knock him out. I could see the sub, but I don't think it happened. You know, I could see like he had a guillotine in the clinch against both Blachowicz and Prohaska. Both of these guys knows how to defend a choke, and they have some grappling. I don't think Roundtree does. So I could see him getting a sub, but I really don't think it's likely, you know. So I think it's gonna be a KO, but the price for the KO is so bad. I was hoping minus 150 or something. It's minus 260. It's terrible. If anything, I guess you can get. I don't have Fanjo here in Canada, but you can get round 2 for Pereira at plus 430. That's how I would play it. If anything, just fading the first round, and I think he's gonna get him. Yeah, I think he's gonna get him in the second round personally. But yeah, I just think that he's level above in the striking, and Roundtree could catch him. But yeah, I just think that Pereira, like you guys said, he has seen this type of striker before, and he's gonna catch him. You know, so Roundtree has been KO'd before. Let's not forget. You know, it's been a long time we've seen it, but beating Anthony Smith, now you're fighting Alex Pereira. So I like his story, though. If he wins this, like, he has a very good story. Props to him, you know, but yeah, I just don't see it happening.
So, okay, so real quick, let me point this out. Garage MMA, right there is the one. My buddy Ness, that's his channel, so I'm going to throw that out there so if you guys want to see that. But, okay, so do you guys think there's any truth to Khalil Roundtree being in a cult? Like, is that legit?
I know nothing about it.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything about it either.
Yeah,
okay. Nobody? Okay. So, like, I think it was Strickland that pointed it out first, but then, which makes sense. I mean, he's kind of a wild man, but at the same time, somebody on YouTube, I can't remember what channel it was, because, like, I wasn't familiar with their channel when I saw this video. They, like, did, like, a deep dive in it, and it sounds like it's him, Dominic Cruz, and Jeremy Stevens are all in this cult. Like, it's not just those three. Like, there's other people. Like, I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not, but it sounds like they might be, and it sounds legit. So, I don't know. But either way, wanted to throw that out there. I can't remember what the name of the cult is either. I was listening to it while I was working the other day. So, like, I was only sort of listening because I was, like, running my tools that are very loud. So, I can only sort of listen. But, yeah, either way, it sounded legit from the little bit I heard. Either way, we don't need to worry about it. It's not going to matter. But that's a wrap up for that. But we do have some things, some closing announcements for everyone, some things like that. And I wanted to first off remind everybody, check out the other channels here. And if they're not your cup of tea, whatever, maybe don't go subscribe, because then that's just a weird dead subscriber that doesn't help. But if you did like anything that they've said, go check them out. And I'm going to let them go around. I'm going to let them talk about their stuff. And at the end, hopefully I can convince everyone who speaks a second language, being Dravi and Mike, to bid everyone farewell in their second language, because that would be super dope. I guess for Dravi, it might be his first language. But speaking of which, Dravi, let's start with you. Go ahead and tell everybody where to find you on all the socials, and then don't only give them a parting wish in English, give them one in French as well.
You want me to say it in French after that?
Yes, sir.
All right, I got it for you, but you're not going to understand anything.
Won't have a clue.
But yeah, first of all, thanks for having me, man. It's been a pleasure doing this show. And Crossover, just got to say, man, I know you're new to this space, but you have a good mind for this game. I like your takes and what you said on this one. We agree on most of the bets, most of the pick for the entire card. I think all of us. We disagree on some fights, but it's good. It's good to see us agreeing on most of the card. The guy just said goodbye, my friends. That's what he just said in French. Au revoir, mes amis. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Joivy_, where I do post some free bets there and there. But you can find my Dub Club, where I do post my premium bet with all the breakdowns and everything. You know, you can get it. And I did post something on Twitter that is the rest of the year for the price of only 1 month. So it's a good time to get in if you guys want to have my bets. And I do a podcast, Beat the Line Broadcast. You mentioned it. You have it in the description. So if you like what I said, I do it with 2 other guys. We go live every week, even for Dana White Contender Series sometimes. So I hope we all catch this week. And now I'm gonna say that again in French. Didn't practice it, you know. So yeah, sur Twitter, c'est Joivy Baramba si vous voulez me follow. S'il y a des personnes qui écoutent et qui sont québécois ou français, je pense pas qu'il y en ait beaucoup, mais si oui, vous pouvez me follow sur Twitter. Sur YouTube, c'est Beat the Line Broadcast, le nom de mon podcast que je fais avec 2 autres gars. On est live là, à chaque semaine où est-ce qu'on parle de toutes les cartes de UFC, puis même de Dana White Contender Series. Il y a aussi mon Dub Club où est-ce que je pose toutes mes bets. Puis j'ai une promo en ce moment. Jusqu'à la fin de l'année, là, tu peux avoir le prix de 3 mois de bets pour seulement 1 mois. Fait que tu peux t'abonner sur Twitter pour voir ça. Puis je disais merci aux gars là, de m'avoir sur le podcast cette semaine. C'était bien fun. So, yeah, it's your turn, guys, now.
That's awesome. I hope that YouTube picks it up and is like, let's send this to more people that speak French, because that's awesome.
I hope it work out for you, bro.
Because sometimes actually in my comment section, it is a lot of different languages, and some of them are easy to like copy and paste into Google Translate, and some of them are like, those aren't letters. So I don't know. It's harder because you can do it, but it's a little more roundabout way to go. So French is at least in a phonetic alphabet. So that's cool. Crossover, go ahead and shout out your channel, shout out your socials. If you have a second language, feel free to do it in that as well. And let's tell everybody where you're at.
So first of all, thank you to 138. Thank you, Mike. Thank you both you guys having me on. Javi, really appreciate it. You have a really good mind. I like how you think about things, bro. Very interesting. Thanks a lot. Had a really good time on stream with you guys. Like you're saying, I'm very new YouTube channel. Been on YouTube 2 months. You can find me Crossover MMA on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, Crossover MMA 23. On Twitter, Crossover MMA 23 as well. Second language, I know like words in other language. I think, let's see. I think I know goodbye in Russian. I think it's Dos Vidania. Adios.
It's pretty
Spanish. Good. But yeah, that's all I got. Sorry, guys.
That's still pretty good. Yeah, and like he said, he's pretty new to YouTube. So if you guys like want to go get in early, like that's one of those things. A lot of people like to be like one of the first few hundred subscribers. Now's your chance. Crossover's new, and this dude's got good content. In fact, I want to say it was Anthony, who is one of our biggest supporters of the stream tonight, who pointed me to Crossover on Twitter the other day. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it was. And because I said I wanted to, like, who are some of the best channels under 1,000 subs? And Crossover's name was dropped in that, and he was one that I said, wow, this guy's good. I like this stuff. And then I reached out to him like right away to get him on this stream. So there's that. But Mike, people should know where you are by now. They should know all this stuff. But let's hear it. Let's tell them the shtick, and then I want to hear it in Russian too.
You would have thought, bro. You would have thought. I spaced out for 5 seconds. I didn't even know what was happening. Dravi's over here saying an entire essay in French. I'm like, what the hell is happening? Nah, you would have thought. But real talk, at Couch Warrior Pod on Twitter, at Couch Warrior Podcast on YouTube. My Discord's 100% free. We got 300 of us in there now. It's a good time. You get my notes, my breakdowns, my bets, and we talk a ton of fights. I got channels for every single regional. So pull up, check that out. It's 100% free. Link in the description of my YouTube videos, in my link tree. You can find it all over the place. If you can't, DM me on Twitter. I'll send it to you. My YouTube shorts are out. 1-minute breakdowns for every single fight on the card. If you don't like these long form videos, we just went over 2 hours. God damn it. If you like the 1-minute videos, I talk really fast. I do my best to put all the information I can. Check out the shorts. And I did do a long form video also yesterday or 2 days ago. You can check that out if you want to hear more of me for some reason. And that's all I got.
All right. No Russian?
No Russian, bro.
Brother, you're killing me. Okay. Last thing I wanted to couch. See how it only.
Do I need one?
So let me know. I'll drop it in the description. All right. Yeah, that's what's up. But last thing I want to do, I want to shout out MMA Ricky as well. Also, the second half of the biggest supporters of this stream, we got Anthony and MMA Ricky. You guys really brought us together with some monetary value today, and we appreciate it. It's fantastic. It goes a long way. YouTube's going to take their cut, but it still goes a long way. So last thing, thank you guys for tuning in. You guys know who I am. You're on my channel. So like if you haven't subscribed, like it's right there. Like it's just right there. It's pretty hard not to. You can find me at 138 MMA on pretty much everything. So yeah, there's that. And with that, we will catch you guys down the road. Let's see. Español bastante. So it's hasta luego. How about that? See you guys. I'll catch y'all down the road.